Don Rafael's the top rater from Tall Timbers, Honor Jeune and Diamond Jake, 7, 9, 3 and 6. And good crowd there, terrific conditions for Cup Day 2. Beautiful, fine, sunny weather and very open. He'd be the Cup favourite on Super Tab. And then we go right through to number 19.
And then out to Tall Timbers for the Geelong Cup coming up in a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Andy.
Golden Geelong Cup, they're away and barely bounded in the air at the start. Bondi a little slow with Waterhawk. Zasman got out quickly, and so too did Maasai in the bright pink colours. Wider out Honor Jeune, the Cranbourne Cuppener improves. Pacific Dancer just on his inside, easing for a trail. Showing prominently Don Rafael on the inside with Tall Timber. 1,500 and Messiah's a narrow leader, but Zasman, gee, he's done some work. Again, he surges and goes to the front, the toppy. Zasman at the 800, and Zasman a neck in front of Maasai with the inside. 2 lengths away in third placing in Bealey, trailed by Don Rafael, and then Tall Timbers a length to Honor Jeune. Diamond Jake Bedouin back on the inside. They're followed by Devastating creeping forward around Yuma King, followed by Pacific Dancer and then Waterhawk, trailed by Bondi as they swing around the turn into the straight in the Geelong Cup. Zasman outside, Maasai the 2 leaders, but they've worked hard. Tall Timbers closes, Devastating and Honor Jeune come with runs down the outside. Don Rafael trying to work clear, he's held up down near the rail. Zasman at the 200 led narrowly from Devastating and Pacific Dancer, and now Diamond Jake bursting through, but Pacific Dancer wide out, swept to the lead and raced away to win the Geelong Cup. Pacific Dancer first, give it a Devastating second, and nose in front of Diamond Jake. Then on the outside, free at last, and Don Rafael was close up and didn't have a lot of luck in the stretch. They were trailed further back in the field in a busy finish by Yuma King, who got home. Zasman got swamped late. Trotter followed then by Bedouin, and then 6.5 and change, 226.5 and change, which will put him around about 0.6 or so slower than Media Puzzle 2 years ago. 4, 5, 6.
The back there, and it was Pacific Dancer. It was an extremely good effort. He started favourite in the race, Devastating another good run, and Diamond Jake. There were a couple of unlucky stories behind it, but this horse, there was pressure on up front, Alfie, and something really had to come from behind.
No. Got that right, Richard, and Pacific Dancer. The year before, Media Puzzle ran a record in winning this race and won the Melbourne Cup. This is a terrific win. I reckon he's a chance because with the Melbourne Cup being a handicap race, there's no doubt he'll run the trip, and have a look at the authority with which he wins.
Could not agree more. I think he's the second pick of the Australasian horses outside Mackay Diva. That was a Media Puzzle-like performance to my eye, and he just gives every indication he'll run 2 mile. There's no opposition.
But they are parading. The Sky Ratings with Dance the Waves and Regimental Gal, then a huge gap back to Tarn Princess and Naden, suggesting it's a good Quinella bet. 3 from 6, big gap back to 7 and 2. On course, it's all Regimental Gal. Stand by, protest siren. We expect news. Betting you can see Regimings, and those years of the apprenticeship with the great Cups King are certainly paying dividends. Interesting race.
Racing at the 1,000 metres, Dance the Waves away very well. Regimental Gal began fairly. Tarn Princess is going through to look for the lead. Regimental Gal joins and heads her on the outside now. Naden deep out went into third placing, followed by Dance the Waves in the red colours, 4th on the rail, and then J. Diva, Gala Chief and Bomberbill. Regimental Gal eventually worked across. She pricks her ears going through the crossing, leads a half length to Naden. 2 lengths away third, J. Diva out 3 wide around Tarn Princess and Dance the Waves back on the rail. Then came Bomberbill and last Gala Chief. Regimental Gal did it well coming around the home turn. She's cantering a neck in front of Naden. J. Diva going up 3 wide. Dance the Waves follows the favourite from Tarn Princess, and Bomberbill about to peel 4 wide. Regimental Gal around the turn. Is there much in the tank? Naden's coming at it with J. Diva and old Bomberbill. Bomberbill is swapping them on the outside. 9 years of age, he raced away from Regimental Gal, and Bomberbill wins it from Regimental Gal. A length away in third placing, Dance the Waves, then J. Diva, Naden, Gala Chief, and Tarn Princess dropped out to last.
She's ahead in front of Naden. Here's old Bomberbill. Bomberbill might blow them out outright. Bomberbill on the outside gets up to Regimental Gal. 9 years of age, and Bomberbill, the veteran. Bomberbill wins it just over a length. Regimental Gal second, Dance the Waves third, further back J. Diva, then Naden.
You just can never write this old boy off, can you? They don't win Group 2 races at 9 years of age under normal circumstances. He is just an absolute freak. Start number 72. He wins his 20th race, another group race. He's just an
year-old fella, 9 years of age, Bomber Bill, and he's still doing it to those sprinters. And you might be right, the younger sprinters mightn't be of quality we've seen in years gone past, but a 9-year-old giving it to him, well, he's a horse of substance.
He's inspirational, Rich, isn't he? I love him. He's been...
Sky ratings, what is an intriguing betting race. Rise on the on-course favourite. Just ahead, or just with Itemise. It's Itemise from County Tyrone and Braylock, 13-1, 14-3. The Sky ratings. Phone a Friend could be an interesting runner if you fancy one at longer odds. It's ridden by Corey Brown.
I suppose that Phone a Friend...
Odds plus, except Braylock, which has been kept safe and which did parade very...
He lacks that little in a foot, which stops it from being a really good...
They're set, racing now. Braylock near the outside began well, so did Garju Chief, and away quickly Prime Century. In the early part, Nicholas goes back and so does Rise On, and Another Warrior shows no speed. Settling into stride fully, Nicholas, trailed by Pantani. Field with Sooner around her, and then Rise On back on the rail, strung up for a run. Hard to get next from County Tyrone, and then came Nicholas, Pantani and Another Warrior. Up the side now, and Braylock given his head and a cut with the whip. Went to the lead, but only slenderly from Garju Chief. General Booth runs on with Prime Century. Sunar with a run around the outside, and running on two near the inside. Mr. O'Hara, he's getting split through the field. Itemise coming with him, and Rise On makes ground. Garju Chief from General Booth coming around the turn. Mr. O'Hara's gone up to join them. Then Itemise still coming home from Rise On, hard to get, and Another Warrior into the straight now, and Mr. O'Hara took the lead. Rise On coming after it, hard to get, and Another Warrior down the outside. Garju Chief battling back. Rise On in front, down on the 50-metre mark. Another Warrior's lunging at him the outside. Another Warrior grabbing Rise On. Another Warrior, a nose to Rise On. A length and a half, hard to get third. County Tyrone close up. Then Mr. O'Hara, followed closely Garju Chief, Pantani, Sunar, and a long break to Itemise. General Booth, followed by Phone Forest Pride. Another Warrior has got up to win, I'd say. Here's the photo. Number 3 is the...
Now at Moonee Valley, and the winner was Another Warrior, Darren Beedman, 12-10-390 over Rise On and Hard to Get. And that's
a good tough run. I think the horse is a silly lightweight chance in the Cup if he can make it into the field. I think he's down in the 30s in qualifying. That race doesn't automatically get into a Melbourne Cup, but if he gets a run with a lightweight, he'll be hard to beat. Rise On, that was a good, strong, staying performance, Ronnie. Did you like it?
Didn't mind it. County Tyrone was one of the best things beaten I've seen in a long, long time. Should have absolutely bolted in. Look, Another Warrior, he's a good old horse.
Hard. He served on the field.
He can't win a Melbourne Cup. He can't win a Melbourne Cup.
Well, Cox Plate betting tonight shows Caulfield Cup winner Elvstrom rapidly shortening for tomorrow's big race. Starcraft remains favourite, but has drifted in the market after owner Paul Macon said the horse may not be suited for Australasia's greatest weight for age event.
It wasn't the news fans of Cox.
Nothing's changed. I still don't think it's a typical race for Starcraft, but it's the only race for Starcraft in Australia. This was his goal, and I've set him a task to reach this goal. But it isn't the ideal. I'd love to see him in the July Cup next year, going 1,200 metres uphill at Newmarket.
Macon also forced to deny rumours he's
absolutely gorgeous and very relaxed.
The man who has matched Macon for big statements this spring is Graham Rogerson. His 3-year-old Savabeel heavily supported after he declared it would win tomorrow. The addition of blinkers turning the colt into a superstar.
You ride him without blinkers, you think he's just an ordinary horse. You put him down with a real good horse, and he makes real good horses look second-rate.
The ones that are in power.
Savabeel's larrikin trainer, Graham Rogerson, has been one of Starcraft's knockers.
But if he does win, I'll be the first to congratulate him.
Macon's ready to back his horse big time, but only for the right price.
If I can get 4-1, if anybody wants to bet me, I'll have $1 million or more if they want to have it.
There's only one thing difference between me and Paul Macon. He's got millions and I owe millions.
But money.
Caulfield Cup winner Elvstrom, one of the best back runners ahead of the Cox Plate. Starmare Elegant Fashion also well supported.
Melbourne Regal Roller, Elvstrom and Starcraft, 1, 3, 6 and 7. Let's have a look at the market. 27 minutes away now to the big one of the day. Grand Army at 6.10. Regal Roller at 9.20. Fields of Omar, last year's winner, 13. $4 Elstrom, and is just the favourite, it appears. Starcraft at 4.60. And down to Elegant Fashion at 8.50, and Zababil, the 3-year-old, at $10. Now the Cox Plate counting down 27.
Big money starting to really roll in now, and it's coming for Grand Army. There's been some really good bets, $5.50 into $4.80 at the moment. Has been a fraction easy early, getting out to $4. What about Starcraft? Can't write his name at the moment. $4.80. Elegant Fashion firming in to $7. That's been very good money as well, Elegant Fashion. And Saab pretty solid at $11. But
Plate, there has been a sprinkle of support at long odds for the New Zealand galloper King's Chapel. We heard earlier from Mark Walker. A step preparation, a great run in Sydney. I'm not sure what happened at Caulfield, Alf, but there's...
Fields of Omar about the $15, $16 mark. Elstrom will start favourite, but now getting out beyond $4. There's $4.20 there. Starcraft almost touched $5, back into about $4.40. Our Egyptian Rain has also had spec.
Racing, Starcraft began fairly. Grand Army just seemed to get a bump. And there's a surprise. Elstrom is grabbed hold and gone to last. And Regal Roller in front. Miss Potential went across to be second, 3/4 of a length away. Sababil is third. Fourth on the outside, Our Egyptian Rain. Then came back behind them, Fields of Omar outside Elegant Fashion as they leave the straight. Starcraft midfield on the inside of Grand Army. 1.5 to Paolini, trapped out 3 wide by the 1600 from Natural Blitz and Elstrom together. And then at the end is Del Zao outside King's Chapel, past the 1500. And Regal Roller left in front, Miss Potential a length and a half away, and Sababil followed the front runner. They were trailed as they run up towards the turn at the 800 by Our Egyptian Rain. Elegant Fashion handily placed fifth. A length and a half to Fields of Omar. Starcraft the inside, one further back in the field, Grand Army. He's followed Paolini, still caught wide from Natural Blitz and Elstrom over in the centre. And 2 lengths away, King's Chapel on the inside of Del Zao. At the 1,000 metres, Regal Roller by 1.5, Miss Potential, 2 to Sababil. Another length and a half, Elegant Fashion, now running fourth on the inside of Our Egyptian Rain, and 2 lengths to Starcraft as they go to the 800 turn. Fields of Omar's around him. Then Paolini, Grand Army, Natural Blitz. Elstrom has got out the 3 wide now around Del Zao, and King's Chapel is last. Regal Roller led the field up the side, nearing the 600 by 1/2 to Miss Potential. Sababil into the clear. Fields of Omar running on, got to fourth from Our Egyptian Rain. Elegant Fashion hard ridden down on the inside. Paolini comes with a run. Starcraft is working clear, then Grand Army, and Elstrom about 7 lengths from the leader. At the turn, Regal Roller headed by Miss Potential. Sababil joined in from Fields of Omar. Starcraft just behind them, followed by Elegant Fashion. Sababil the leader. The 3-year-old in the Cox Plate around the turn in front of Regal Roller. Down the outside, Fields of Omar, and then Starcraft. Sababil with 100 to go, the leader. Fields of Omar's coming after him, and then Starcraft, but it's Sababil in front, and it's a 3-year-old's Cox Plate. Sababil beat Fields of Omar a length. Ahead away, Starcraft third. Grand Army ran on for fourth. Then Del Zao, Elstrom wider out from Elegant Fashion, Regal Roller, Paolini, King's Chapel, followed by Our Egyptian Rain. Second last is Miss Potential, and last to finish is Natural Blitz.
As they pack up, 5.50 out, Regal Roller from Miss Potential, and Sababil and Fields of Omar 4 deep on the outside. Then Paolini from Our Egyptian Rain, Elegant Fashion trying to get out. They're followed by Starcraft off the fence, Grand Army in trouble. Then Elstrom up to the bend they race, Miss Potential, Regal Roller, and Sababil makes a line of 3. Fields of Omar further back, Starcraft trying to get out from Elegant Fashion. Elstrom's not in the race, but Sababil took the lead from Regal Roller, then Fields of Omar down the centre from Starcraft, Sababil the leader. Fields of Omar is starting to come up from on the outside, and Starcraft, Sababil the leader. Fields of Omar and Starcraft trying hard, but Sababil 3/4 of a length to Fields of Omar second. Ahead third is Starcraft, and Grand Army has run fourth. Then Elstrom further back in the race, Elegant Fashion, Regal.
He's a genius, Graham Rogerson, the trainer. He is a genius. He told us all week how good this horse was. Someone on 10 million, he said, which leg? Bred back. And a 3-year-old wins for the first time since Octagonal in 1995. You've got to be a champion 3-year-old to win this.
I stressed early my selections. I actually tipped Zababil on top this morning, but he wasn't the late mail. He's drifted out Oh, look, this is a very serious racehorse. Fields of Omar.
You know, I think he's a champion. All the people that listen to me got the money, and Lloyd wanted to buy him, and I said, I can't sell him to you, Lloyd, but he's part of it.
How on the home turn, you said to us during the week, we're just going to work through here, boys, the radio, we're trying to get him on Sky.
Said he'll run 22 home, and all the doubters, I said, you know, but I said, here he goes, and look at him. He's done it both ends, and he's beaten the best.
What acceleration he showed, have to pay him to get him now?
You won't get him for 20 million, I'll tell you that much.
He's got doubled his...
1.5 on him. Oh, Johnny, it's unbelievable, mate. I honestly thought he was going too hard, mate. He was sort of race fresh, put himself there. Was probably going a bit keener than I really wanted him to be, but down the back, I said, well, there's no use two of us pulling. I got out 3 deep, out round Miss Potential and Regal Roller. Anyway, he just skipped away from him. Yeah, Chris, in a group.
Chris Muntz, 11.73.50 over Fields of Omar and Starcraft, and the trophy.
And that's very true. He does back his judgment, Graham Rogerson. He paid, I think, $400,000 for this horse by Zabeel out of the good mare Savannah Success. Fields of Omar, very, very good run to come in second. He obviously likes the Valley, and it was a step up for him too. He's really stepped up to the mark. Fields of Omar. Starcraft, a good run, but really never in the hunt against Savabeel. Let's hear from the beaten jocks and see what they had to say.
Just locked his jaw and wanted to get in at about the 600, and then got on his other leg before the turn and wanted to roll out. But the thing I liked about him inside the last furlong, he was very solid and gave his best effort, just ran into one too good.
No excuses, my horse, he just travelled like a winner. Getting to the top of the lane, honestly I thought I was a winner because I hadn't done a lot on him. He worked himself into the race under no effort.
Didn't get a lot of room around the home bend, and but still found the line quite strongly, and he raced a little bit fresh in the early stages.
He's really taken the next step, hasn't he? I suppose we had to defy the true champion that he is.
We rode him patiently today, hit the line nice, and he'll go for a spell now, but I'm sure he'll come back a better horse next preparation, especially on a quarter preparation.
Just flat from the 600, just chasing and chasing. King's Chapel's been able to get round me, and right at that point my bloke started to switch on, and the distances started to come back into him for us, and I've ended up losing me running, and he's got to the outside and flashed home. Just sign of a champion. Everything's gone wrong, and he's still with the line better than anything.
How many times he made Savabeel a horse to follow? You've been wrapping it. Did you think, it's saying good morning to you, Richard, do you think he was good enough to win the Cox Plate?
No, I didn't think he was good enough to win the Cox Plate. And I have been wrapping the horse all the way through his campaign, but I thought he was out of his depth there, and I, like everybody else, was wrong. And Roger was right. And
I thought it was great tactics going forward. Obviously, he'd found the run of the race, but was that the plan before the race?
No, it wasn't. My plan was to get back a little bit on him. I wanted to be probably around about 6th or 7th, but the speed wasn't as mad as what I first expected to be, and he put himself into the race pretty comfortably, so I just decided I might as well leave him there instead of fighting him after the race.
Well, definitely worth it, Chris, because Roger got plenty and the sling will be big.
Yeah, you know all about that, Ronnie.
Congratulations, Chris.
Thanks, mate.
Well done.
Thanks, mate.
All right. Beaten Brigade, Fields of Omar, I think you mentioned, loves the Strathare. Great run at Mooney Valley. He loves it.
Super run.
Yeah.
Because I don't think his lead-up form had been great, but once again, he produced a magnificent effort in this race again. And last year was obviously a great one, but another great effort. He was really chasing hard. A good old horse, loves that Strathare. Starcraft, thought he had his chance, but really just couldn't catch the 3-year-old with a 48.5, and I thought that Grand Army, well, I thought he was a bit of a hard luck story, Ronnie.
If there's one in the race that was a hard luck story, it was Grand Army. He was never balanced. He wanted to pull. I expected him to be third the fence. He just come out a little bit on the back foot. So if there was a hard luck runner in the race, and I emphasise if, it was Grand Army. Starcraft, look, I feel he was gallant in defeat, never really balanced. I'd love to see him spell and come back and train like a sprinter, this horse.
Okay. That's what he's going to do. Starcraft will be spelled. His owner, Paul Macon, will meet with March. Elstrom, who started favourite, well, a horse next to him was lunging forward, and Nashua Willer just pulled Elstrom back in the stall, and at that moment, the gates open, and that probably cost Elstrom any chance that he had. He's going on to the McKinnon, as is Grand Army, so they'll meet again there.
I don't know.
I think
well, as I said.
Now, Moonee Valley, we're looking ahead to the Vars. The Amy Vars is at Group 2 level. It's barely a moment from Count Ricardo, Classiconi and Plastered. 1 from 3, then 2 and 8. On course, favourite is Shoot. And that's the case ahead of Barely a Moment. Big overs, Barely a Moment at the moment on the tote. From there we go to Plastered and then Classiconi, Count Ricardo. That is the betting order on. That is the third pick on course. Yes, Count Ricardo's been kept firm in betting and remains overs the tote.
Yes, certainly does. And
a left-hander at the today. He certainly thinks the horse. Plastered took a left-hander at the start and he tightened up Denorum. Count Ricardo got shuffled back. Mr. Martini went back. Barely a Moment jumped well towards the inside, but he's not going to retain the lead. Schutt's going up. Also, Tackman is up there too. And also out wide, Break the Barrier as they lead at the end of the field. Well, Schutt is fired up for the lead out to the 1,200 metre mark and he's been let slide. So it's Schutt in front by 2 lengths. A length further back at the 1,000 is Plastered, and then Count Ricardo at the end with Calorific as they make the run to the turn at the 800 metres, and Schutt has got his head right down at his chest. He leads by about a length to Break the Barrier. A length and a half away, Zankel improving, has got into third around the outside, followed by Tackman, Barely a Moment, and there's Plastered going forward deep on the course, and Count Ricardo and Calorific take off. They're trailed by behind these Denorum, who's dropped out, and then Classiconi and Mr. Martini. They've slowed the tempo mid-stages. Zankel took off early, and he's gone to the lead now. Schutt has to rally back on the fence. Count Ricardo's got the third under great pressure. Then came running on Plastered and Mr. Martini. Barely a Moment lost when they sprinted. Zankel the leader now. Zankel's dashed away from Schutt. Count Ricardo, here's Mr. Martini running on, and Plastered working home. Zankel the leader, coming home strongly. Mr. Martini and Plastered in the centre. Mr. Martini and Plastered race away from Zankel. Mr. Martini the outside and Plastered. Plastered coming at Mr. Martini. Mr. Martini, Plastered and nose. I think he might have kicked and won it from Mr. Martini. Photos all round though. 4 lengths away, Count Ricardo. From Schutt, Barely a Moment, Zankel, and back behind them was Classiconi. Then about 3 or 4 lengths to Denorum, Break the Barrier, Calorific, and Tackman was last in.
The Valley on the Amy Vars. Plastered, Paul Harvey, 441.80 over Mr. Martini and Count Ricardo.
To his liking. This would have been a bonus today. You know, it's probably not his style of track, and he was dropping back in distance. He relished the 2,400 the other day, and you know, the 2,500's not going to be the problem. The more genuine they run it, the happier we're going to be.
Paul Harvey there, rider of Plastered. He came over from the west after a very big win over there, and they were right. They brought him over, and he was just too good for Mr. Martini, but only just. A very good run again from Mr. Martini, who loves the track. Count Ricardo finished third and Schutt fourth. I think it was a very meritorious win. I think this horse can be a force in the Derby. Whether he can beat Savabeel is another thing. They ran a second slower in this event than they did in the Cox Plate, which was only the race before, so there'd been no change in the track. And there was plenty of pace in this race, thanks to Schutt. Oh. But this horse, he's got a chance in a Derby, and Mr. Martini, well, you couldn't have run a better trial either.
Yeah, I'm not so sure it was a fast run race. They went very slow the first 400 or 500 metres. Horses were pulling their heads off. And one thing that impressed me with this horse, Plastered, he was the only horse that just switched off and like a real stayer.
Could he win in the Melbourne Cup? Is that possible or not?
It is possible if he wins the Derby, and even if he's not nominated, he can have a late entry fee. Look, he's the type of horse that gives the impression that he'll stick it right out too. Real grinder.
Plastered is part owned by Paul Harvey's wife, Janelle, and she this morning ruled out a start in the Melbourne Cup, but they're happy to have a crack at Savabeel in the Derby because they feel the bigger track at Flemington will suit him. So too will Mr. Martini go on to the Derby, but Schutt and Zankel both out for a spell, Elf.
Yeah, look, Group 2 Waterford Crystal Mile, time-honoured race on Cox Plate Day. And the scratching here is number 2, Titanic Jack. Sky ratings with True Glow from Lord of the Manor and Sir Dex. 1 from 6 and 9, and then number 8, Jackaday. Now, the top one's not in the yard yet. True Glow, in fact, here it comes now. 3 placings, Alf Matthews. Is that good enough for today?
I think it is.
Jumping fairly, this man should beat him out. Gordo got away all right. Silky Red Box is going for the lead today. Siesta Bay got away well, and so too Sir Dex out very wide. He's eased on Ladder the Manor from that outside barrier, and he's back about second last. Up towards the 1200 turn at the 800, out by 2 lengths to Sir Dex. Lord Mick travelling wide, and True Glow with a lovely trail on the fence. A length and a half further back is Siesta Bay, this man should, and then Silky Red Boxer. 1.5 to Gordo, Jackaday, Ladder the Manor, and Only a Dream 2 lengths away under pressure. At the 600 metres now, Life's a Bounty 1.5 to Sir Dex and Lord Mick. True Glow scrubbed up near the inside from Siesta Bay, Silky Red Boxer. Jackaday commencing a run. This man should held up on the fence from Gordo and Lad of the Manor. At the turn, Life's a Bounty about to be collared by Lord Mick out 3 wide, and Sir Dex in the centre. 2 lengths away, True Glow, Siesta Bay and Silky Red Boxer. Entering the straight now, and it's Lord Mick taking the lead from Sir Dex, trying to battle back, and then Silky Red Boxer and Lad of the Manor coming down the outside. Lord Mick in front, Lad of the Manor. Look at him pound down the outside. Big performance, and Lad of the Manor got up to win by a half a length. Second placing to Lord Mick in front of Sir Dex, and then Silky Red Boxer, this man should, followed by Jackaday. Behind these to finish was...
At Moonee Valley on the Waterford Crystal Mile, won brilliantly by Lad of the Manor. 5.20 and 1.90, Brian Johns from Lord Mick and Sir Deck.
A champion jockey up around the north of Victoria for many, many years, and good to see him. He's attached to a good one here with Lad of the Manor. He raced a little bit upside down at his last start, but Brian got him right this time, and he flashed home at the end, and I think he was a deserved winner, wasn't he, Keith?
Yeah, no doubt, and you're right. I think they overdid the tactics at Caulfield when it was a leaders track and the rail was the place to be. They rushed him up forward. Yesterday it was the opposite, and that's the way he loves to race. It was a reversal of riding tactics, but it did pay off, and as Graham said, 9 out of 11, and that ain't bad. True Glow, who was one of the...
Finish up where it did. Also, I thought Lad of the Manor, very, very good. He's a very good galloper. Number 5, Silky Red Boxer, is gradually and continually looking better all the time. Might run a very good race the last day of the carnival. Didn't mind its...
Well, just from Flemington coming up, it's the Carbine Club Stakes over 1,600 metres. Squad and Spirit of Tara are equal top raters from Lords a Leaping and Al Mahur. And we'll have the replay shortly after it's been run. Andrew Bensley, good morning to you on a big day.
Good morning, Matt. Yes, beautiful sunny day. Track at the moment is rated dead. 2 minutes away from the first. I can tell you the Danehill Express was a sizable drifter. Initially, they've just supported it a little bit.
Set and racing in the first, and Lords a Leaping jump well. Swick got away reasonably, is settling back with Timeless Dane and Squad. Almaher, Silent Action and Pin Up Boy all bounced out of the stalls quickly, and it's a good Tara with Kistadan improving quickly and pulling hard. Then came Lords a Leaping, followed by Squad, who's also improving rapidly, 3 wide, 2 lengths away to Norham. They were followed as they came up the side to Ulysses, who's out wide, and in the centre then is Danehill Express. Well back in the field is Swick towards the home turn, being followed by Stromberg Carlson, and Timeless Dame was back last in search of the home turn in the first at the 600 metres now, and Kistadan had moved up on the outside of Almaher, who had the lead. Squatters out 3 wide, and the Cerise as they swing around the turn. Silent Action with the baldy face waits on a run behind the leader, and then Picket Fence. Pin-Up Boy was deeper out as they balance for the run in now. Let's see now, Stromberg Carlson pulled right to the outside. Swick is back last. Danehill Express has about 3 or 4 behind him. Almaher with a kick down towards the 200. Again went to the lead with Pin-Up Boy and Squad challenging. Kistadan is beaten, and further back is Lords a Leaping. Almaher in front with 100 metres to go from Squad and Pin-Up Boy. Almaher finding something, and Almaher wins the first by a half length to Squad. Pin-Up Boy third, then Danehill Express, who ran home from Denorum, and just behind these was Silent Action, who held on reasonably well on the inside, and further away then was Timeless Dane, Kistadan, Carbine Club Stakes.
Beats Squad and Pin-Up Boy 1-11. We'll take a short have an early look at the L'Oreal Paris Plate, and Brannigan is a rating special ahead of Anchorette, Tani Girl and Oratorio 3, 4, 6 and 2. That's the scene coming in from Flemington. Always a big crowd on Derby Day. I wonder if they'll break the record for this week. With fine weather, they'll certainly go pretty close. Fast Net Rock, number 1, is the firm pick on Super Tab at $4.30 shorter in Sydney. That makes sense. It's 29 minutes away, so we'll certainly keep you run. Now there's drama at Flemington. Fast Net Rock has gone through the gates. He burst through the barrier. He's dumped Glenn Boss. I think Glenn's okay. He was back on his feet.
Now, Fastnet Rock jumped away well from the middle of the line, and so did Tiny Girl. Oratorio easing back in the early stages. Away very fast was Brannigan near the inside, but Tiny Girl out in the middle is going very quickly and finds the lead. It's Tiny Girl second, Public Opinion third on the inside, closely followed then by down the outside as Fastnet Rock. Anchoret being niggled at near the 400 metre mark, and Rockethoko behind them is under the whip, and Oratorio's wide out as they went to the 300. Here's Brannigan coming now, and he's raced up and gone to the lead from Tiny Girl. Here's Fastnet Rock after Brannigan at the 200. They look the two. It's Brannigan in front. Fastnet Rock is getting there with every stride. 100 left to go. Fastnet Rock moved up to Brannigan. He put the head in front, and it's Fastnet Rock going on to beat Brannigan by a half length. Coming home hard for third was a Saffir in front of Tiny Girl, Rockethoko. Next to finish in the race, Oratorio, and then Al Mahara. Smooth Groove, Public Opinion, and Anchoret is last of all.
80 cents and correct weight is there. Weight is right on the second. Now
on the fresher side. And what about the plan for him now? Do you race him Thursday?
I suppose we'd have to throw that around a bit, and just all depends how he does. You know, he's a darn good doing horse normally, you know, but just probably throw it around a bit and have a look from there. He got out to $5 equal favourite, Fastnet Rock in the end from Brannigan, and the Saffir's run was good. Richard, for a moment or two there, it looked as though he was going to be scratched prior to the race.
Yeah, he cast a plate as he left the gates. He burst through the front of the gates and dropped Glen Boss, and then he'd obviously cast a plate doing that as well. They attempted to catch him with old Sub-Zero, who's the clerk of the course, and he tried to get rather amorous at Sub-Zero, which is a bit of a worry, but they eventually got him back, put the shoe back on him, and away he went. He was in a reluctant mood, I think, and you could see his tongue hanging out of his mouth there. His tongue would be tied down, and that wouldn't be a big issue, but he is a...
Sub-Zero, Richard, he kicked Sub-Zero. Is that your definition of getting amorous?
I think he got a knockback.
I see. And a decision has been made this morning for Fastnet Rock to back up on Thursday in the Lexus.
Up back to a suitable sprint race, and he was just too good. Yeah, a super little horse.
Yeah, justice to trainer Perry and jockey G. Boss, who lost this race 2 years ago when Choisier was unfortunately, maybe unluckily, demoted, one would say. Fastnet Rock got back to its best rating, and Brannigan ran to its best rating, so it's proof, I'm sure, that Fastnet Rock is a sprinter.
Group 2 Saab quality of 2,500 metres. Don Rafael is the top scorer from Yuma King, County Tyrone and Catch Me If You Can. 4, 12, 1 and 6. It's about 22 minutes away. And currently we've got County Tyrone at 380, coming off a good run in the Moonee Valley Gold Cup last Saturday. Now let's hear from in the Saab.
More pleased with this colt. He's just poetry in motion. He's big, he's bold, he's strong.
Catch Me If You Can and Yuma King both a little slow. Winning Bell began fast with Denazri. Tomorrow's Party jumped away quickly. And Winning Bell had no trouble in scooting across the field down to the judge to lead 2 lengths Don Rafael. In third placing is Denazri. County Tyrone is a length away in fourth. Catch Me If You Can starting to go around them in the purple colours from County Tyrone. The side end, it's Winning Bell in front, given every chance by Chris Muntz at the 800. Catch Me If You Can's now going to make her work a little bit before the turn. A length and a half away, Denazri's had a dream run on the inside of Don Rafael. County Tyrone's had good transit as well. Tomorrow's Party in the red cap held up about fifth as Bedouin starts a run. And coming with it is Mbili. With Yuma King back behind these trying to search for an out. Tintagel pulled right to the outside with Manawa King. Winning Bell at the 400 had the lead narrative, and Don Rafael straight up with great purpose and joins her. Catch Me If You Can battling away in the centre. A break then to County Tyrone. Denazri can do no more, and then tomorrow's Party. It's Don Rafael at the 200 from Winning Bell. Catch Me If You Can, and further back is County Tyrone. 100 left to go. Don Rafael in front of Winning Bell, and Catch Me If You Can. Don Rafael is just the leader, and Don Rafael gets home from Winning Bell and Catch Me If You Can. Just behind them, Denazri and County Tyrone. Followed further back tomorrow's Party, Manawa King, and a break to Yuma King. Next to finish was Tintagel and Bedouin with Setup and Mbili at the tail.
Tony Brassell's late mail shortly. Flemington, the Saab quality. Don Rafael was too good for Catch Me If You Can, and Winning Bill 468.
Yep, Don Rafael, and he's referring there to Don and Val's story. Kerry Parker is the trainer. Well done, Kerry. You've done so well with this galloper. Glen Boss...
If there's going to be a shock in the Melbourne Cup, I reckon it'll come out of this race. I tip the winner, Don Raphael, because he has been running really consistently since he got to Melbourne, and he did run in that Geelong Cup, and he was up on the pace in that Cup, and it was a killer pace, and he kept going. So I thought it was a good effort, and he did it again yesterday.
But the Saab is, year in, year out, a reasonably good measure for the Melbourne Cup, without producing the winner very often. The benchmark Saab is the one won by Brew. Our Brew won this race and rated about a length and a half higher than this Saab. Brew dropped 7.5 kilos to win the Melbourne Cup from its Saab weight. These three place getters dropped 3 kilos. Mathematically, they just do not compute as getting cited on Tuesday.
OK, all right. Well, Kwong is the top rater from Hollow Bullet, Ballet Society and Mango Daiquiri, 4, 1, 3 and 5. And here's what they're paying for the Wakeful. For the fillies, looks like Kylie Kwong might be the top pick at $5.20 in a fairly open affair. In fact, and it's the top pick on all TABs. So Storm Alert's the favourite. But we're going to hear more about Kylie Kwong from the horses.
Sure. Number 4, Kylie Kwong. I just think it'll get the right run in transit here and get to the outside.
The starter caught them well. Mango Daiquiri anyways. Lucy away well. Quickly away too is Astrodame, Ballet Society, and Vintner's up there as well. Luna Spur from a wide barrier is pressing on. There's a fair bit of pace about, and Yuma Quest went back with Zaza last of all. Now Ballet Society at the 1700 works over and in front from Astrodame. Luna Spur deep out improving, will soon be second, and back at the tail is Zaza at the 800 metres. Ballet Society leads by about a long neck coming up towards the turn. Vintner in second, placing to Astrodame on the outside, followed by Luna Spur as they come around the home turn. In the white colours next was anyways Lucy Havega taking off with a run around them as they swing around the bend. Now let's see Kylie Kwong as they swing for home as well back and on the inside into the straight now, and Vintner with Astrodame go up to Ballet Society. Wider out as Havega coming with a run, and then Mango Daiquiri. Kylie Kwong's trying to work into the clear, but she's still a little boxed up. Hollow Bullet comes with a run around her, and Storm Alert's coming now. Hollow Bullet swept up to Astrodame and went to the lead. In turn, Storm Alert down the outside, and Mango Daiquiri and Havega are next. It's Hollow Bullet clear by 2 lengths. Storm Alert's trying to reel her in, but Hollow Bullet's going great guns, and Hollow Bullet beats Storm Alert. Mango Daiquiri a half length away third. Kylie Kwong fourth, Astrodame fifth, and then came Havega, followed further back in the field. Behind these was Vintner and Zaza. Any Dane now, Luna Spur.
Storm Alert, Mango Daiquiri, 1, 9 and 5.
Don't see it on the outside, but on the inside, yeah, very happy, very excited. She's done a very good job, that filly.
She got to the line very well today. What about the 2,500 metres of the Oaks?
You never know until they do it, but she did hit the line very strong. She goes to sleep well in her races, so if she can go to sleep till the corner on Thursday, and providing she pulls up well, then her turn of foot will take her a long way.
Yeah, Hollow Bullet, Storm Alert, Mango Daiquiri. Well done, young David Taggart. It's good to see you back in a big race success in town. John McCardle, can you tell us a bit more about...
John used to be the foreman at the Freedman stable only till about last year, and decided it was time for him to get his own licence, and he's got Hollow Bullet in his first year. We rent him the stables that he trains her out of. I think the rent's going up this week, and if we can throw him out, we will.
And I tell you what, take nothing away from him either.
Very hard in the race, and this boy's ridden half a dozen winners out of a very, very few rides in the last 12 months in the metropolitan area. I think he's ridden 6 out of about 30 in the last 12 months. Into the Oaks, this is usually the race that we look at for the Oaks, and now this filly will meet Storm Alert and Kylie Kwong, the obvious 2 dangers, are 1.5 kilos better in the Oaks, and with a similar ride would be very hard to beat. But I did like the way Storm Alert hit the line.
Kylie Kwong, Dom, it didn't have a lot of luck either. Every time he sort of went to get going on it, when the winner went past him, he sort of brushed him and pushed him in. He started to get balanced again, and then the second horse, Storm Alert, got outside it and brushed it and sort of took its running a little bit. I didn't think it had all that much of a clear run in the run to the line. It was there, but never really at being able to put under pressure.
Yes, Kylie Kwong clearly should have run second in that race. I just feel Storm Alert's the one that's improving.
Hollow Bullet at $2.50. Storm Alert second, elect Kylie Kwong. Mango, Daiquiri and Astrodome.
Classic. Alingi is the top rater from Skewiff, Infinite Grace and Shamika, 16, 4, 2 and 9. It's good to see Nicholas Ryan back at the races.
The unders what they're betting on track.
I think what you've got to be aware of too, Andrew, is the fact that Alingi is so short.
Yeah.
You know, things have got to get out just to balance the market up a little bit to about, well, currently 124%. That'll actually back off as we get to race time. But look, these sort of horses, you know, represent value now.
All of them do, like Skewiff, Basami Mucha at the moment, $19.
You see, that, to me, that is ridiculous odds, Basami Mucha. It's a good horse. It didn't cut.
They're set. Racing now. Alingi, one of the first out. Skewiff got away very quickly. Besame Mucho snagged at the start with Umber and Romare. Miss Potential out finding the lead ahead of Shamika to second, the outside of Infinite Grace. And just behind them, Alingi. She's not going to get them a start. She's running fifth. The inside is In a Bound, improves in the green colours. Next is Unearthly outside the 1,000 metres astern now. Miss Potential, the leader from Shamika. She's out by a length away Infinite Grace. In a Bound, the outside from Heck of a Party. 1.5 away is Alingi on the inside of Unearthly, and Romare is travelling out 3 wide. Next in the field, Skewiff held up for a run on the inside of Light Sweeper. Umber deeper out, 2 lengths to Rinky Dink, followed then by Just Polite, and then Besame Mucho and Star of Gretchen was last as the field swings for home, where Miss Potential has the lead narrowly from Shamika. The outside, Infinite Grace waits on a run. Alingi's held up behind these. In a Bound and Unearthly ahead of her, and so is Heck of a Party inside the 400, and Miss Potential 3/4 clear from Shamika. Ryan's going to the inside now on Alingi, and here she comes. She's about to get clear. It's now with 150 metres to go. Miss Potential in front. Alingi gets over her heels. Now she needs the sprint. Miss Potential still there. Alingi's in for the fight. She's driving. Here's the line, Miss Potential. Oh, this is close. Miss Potential or Alingi, who's dived at her. Infinite Grace might have held the third from Skewiff, and back behind them is Umber, and they're followed closely by In a Bound, and further back is Shamika, Light Sweeper, and then came Star of Gretchen, who's made some ground from Just Polite, Rinky Dink, Romare, Unearthly, and Besame Mucho. It's close. Stitch.
He was angling. There's the photo. So Miss Potential's won it. What a result for bookmakers. Has come from the Cox Plate to win. What an omen for Sababil coming up in the aiming. 1-6
Bound and Unearthly ahead of her, and so is Heck of a Party inside the 400, and Miss Potential 3/4 clear from Shamika. Ryan's going to the inside now on Alingi, and here she comes. She's about to get clear. It's now with 150 metres to go. Miss Potential in front. Alingi gets over her heels. Now she needs the sprint. Miss Potential still there. Alingi's in for the fight. She's driving. Here's the line, Miss Potential. Oh! This is close. Miss Potential or Alingi, who's dived at her. Infinite Grace might have held the third from Skewiff, and back behind them is Umber, and therefore...
I tried to dominate from the front, and I just said if I can get some cheap furlongs, you know, between 1,000 and a half mile or 1,000 and 600, I knew she'd have a good kick, because her run in the Cox Plate wasn't that bad. She's a tough filly.
Tactics just to go to the lead and, you know, string them out a bit.
Yes, that's the way she races best, and it's the way she's won most of her races. Although, saying that, she can come from behind.
Glenn Boss, another fabulous day for Glenn. You had 3 winners. Alingi second, Infinite Grace third. Your thoughts, firstly, Richard?
Well, I was very, very disappointed that Alingi didn't win. I mean, all credit to the mare that won. She is a tough mare from New Zealand, and when she gets her own way in front, very hard to run down. It wasn't Nicholas Ryan's fault. He rode her beautifully from where she was drawn. The disappointment was that they picked that race to run the fastest last 600 of the day, and Alingi had to stand.
This potential here, as Alingi comes to the outside of it, it shifts out a little bit too, and just becomes a little daunting for her. Just there.
Yeah.
Now, I'm telling you, that's what actually cost it. It was the best losing ride I have seen from an apprentice in many a long year. Look, he...
Skewiff. Yeah, it was a very good run. Just getting back to Alingi, I'm glad both the guys in Melbourne spoke highly about Nicholas Ryan's ride. I've never seen a better ride in my life than that. Even when he was coming across the leader's heels to get it fully balanced, he wasn't driving a full bore, he was letting her maintain a composure. I think he's the best rider we've got. I honestly do. He's just a freak, that kid. All honours with the winner, insofar as she fought on doggedly. Tempo of the race definitely suited her. Alingi, the pace didn't suit her. Skew Whiff, like this horse has just improved in leaps and bounds. 7-year-old.
Of betting, only WA Warrior Plastered has been able to split them. Leon Corsten's Hope, Mr Martini, the next in line.
And of course we're building up to the big one, the Group 1 Victoria Derby. Sababil, Plastered, Cedar Manor and Mr Martini. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Beautiful conditions for race day and a huge crowd have turned out for Derby Day.
Our trackside for the Amy Victoria Derby, and what beautiful weather it will be for 2004's version of the Derby. Sababil at $3.30 on the tote and $3 for Plastered. They dominated. Sababil's again been fancied. It's the one that has trimmed up. Plastered's been easy. No support for it on track. Elf Matthew.
Plastered saw Cowboy away well. Count Ricardo straight out the back despite being scrubbed up. Lionsgate found the lead. Sababil was away well. King Durham and Heavenly Punter pressing on in the early stages, and Mr Martini is fifth, and he's got across near the rails, followed by Cedar Manor Soy Cowboy. Plastered went back to second last, and Count Ricardo was last. The Derby field Plastered last on the outside. At the 900 metres down the side, and Lionsgate still with a good lead. He's out the best part of 3. King Durham second, Heavenly Punter half length away third. Sababil on the inside of Mr Martini, 2 lengths away Soy Cowboy, Cedar Manor, another 2 to Count Ricardo, and Plastered last as they sweep up towards the turn. It's Lionsgate leading narrowly from King Durham. Heavenly Punter's flushed out 3 wide. Sababil right behind them, waits on a run. The orange blinkers of Mr Martini, and next Count Ricardo getting up on the inside, and then Cedar Manor. They're into the straight now. King Durham's gone to the lead. Getting up on the rails now is Sababil and Heavenly Pun on the outside. They're the 3 leaders down towards the 300 where Sababil shoots through on the fence out by 2 lengths now to Heavenly Pun. Here comes Plastered. He's rocketing home on the outside. The West Australians gobbling in Sababil and Count Ricardo. 100 left to go. It's Plastered taking the lead. Could he be the superior stayer? Count Ricardo's rallying on the fence, but it is Plastered too good, and Plastered wins it by a length and a quarter. Either Count Ricardo or Sababil for the minor end of the prize. Soy Cowboy has run fourth, and a break behind them is Heavenly Pun with Mr Martini, Cedar Manor and King Durham, and back at the tail end of the field is Lionsgate.
Oh, what a stayer this horse is. He is an outstanding stayer.
Sababil and Heavenly Pun on the outside. They're the 3 leaders down towards the 300 west. Sababil shoots through on the fence out by 2 lengths now to Heavenly Pun. Here comes Plastered. He's rocketing home on the outside. The West Australians gobbling in Sababil and Count Ricardo. 100 left to go. It's Plastered taking the lead. Could he be the superior stayer? Count Ricardo's rallying on the fence, but it is Plastered too good, and Plastered wins it by a length and a quarter. Either Count Ricardo or Sababil for the minor end of the prize. Soy Cowboy is...
And really, with the pace on, you settle back, but quick burst at the 300.
Yeah, he's Paul knows what he's doing. As I said before, he's rode him all his work at home. Yeah. He knows how superior fitness that the horse has got, so he knew he could start working and keep grinding to the line, and you know, it worked out today.
You've won the Derby, you've won an Australian Cup, and I think you've only raced about 4 horses now here at Flemington.
Yeah, well, we've got another 12 months to regroup and come back and get something else.
You'd like to keep Plastered, but just talking to you during the...
2, 1, 5 and 10, so Soy Cowboy ran a good race for 4th. The first 4 was $917.
It's just a great journey from getting to the 600 metre mark. He was getting right off the bridle. You know, they were starting to work into the race, and they were just getting him off the bit. He just settles out well. I think he got into a zone where he had oversettled, and I had to wake him up at the 600. He showed me there was still horse there, so I just sort of eased him and sat on him a bit longer, you know, to halfway down the straight, and then when I asked for the Supreme, he answered the question.
It was done Paul Harvey too by Loranto. I think it passed away recently out of Tipples. Plastered. Sababil second, a nose in front of Count Ricardo, which was getting a run up on the rails. Let's hear from the beaten jockey, starting off with...
Tried hard. At the end of the day, probably the better stayer won. My bloke didn't disgrace himself. He ran as good as he could, but no excuses.
I thought he was very, very game in defeat, and as I said, staying is the caper for Plastered, and he was the one that sat right back with terrific speed on. If it was run a little slower, I tell you what, it'd be a lot closer in the finish.
I'm a bit confused about this Derby. I mean, Sababil wins the Cox Plate. Red Anchor won the Cox Plate, came out and blasted them at Derby. Stylish Century got narrowly beaten in a Cox Plate, belted them in the Derby. Octagonal won the Cox Plate, should have won the Derby. But Savabeel shouldn't have won the Derby, and I can't sort of work out how that form lines up with the Cox Plate. It's just got me a little confused. I think the winner is a very good horse. I think he's going to be a force next spring if he's sound and everything comes right. I think Plastered, you'll see him in a Caulfield or a Melbourne Cup. But Savabeel, I just can't work him out. He's just got me a little perplexed. And Soy Cowboy running fourth, a maiden.
I agree with you there, big fella. I thought Savabeel's run was very good. He's done everything asked of him this campaign. Probably the mile and a half was the 2500 was his peak, and you know he ran into a better stayer on the day. I thought he was very courageous. He was basically headed at the 150 and just kept fighting on extremely well. I thought it was a good win, but I agree with you. I do think that the winner's the best horse and the best stayer.
In rating terminology, Savabeel spiked last week and had to come down on that performance. That explains a little bit, and was a false win last week in the Cox Plate. Nevertheless, Plastered is an outstanding stayer. This race, interestingly, did not rate much higher than previous derbies, so therein may lay a tale.
Yeah. Therein lies the tale?
Well, you would have thought that the winner of the Cox Plate going into the Derby would elevate the Derby to be a very high rating Derby. It wasn't the case yesterday. Savabeel came down something like 4 or 5 lengths on its Cox Plate rating, and that's indicated by the closeness of which a maiden, as you pointed out, Soy Cowboy, finished close up in the race. So I think that you have to temper what you feel about this race. It may prove that Savabeel's not really genuinely a 2,500 metre horse, and I think that Plastered actually came down a fraction on its Amy Vars rating as well. It took a lot out of Plastered last week. It was a brave performance to win, and he is the horse for the future, in my opinion.
Stakes at Flemington. Grand Army is the top rater from Confectioner, Elegant Fashion and Balmuse. 1, 9, 11 and 3. For the 7th, Confectioner, I'd imagine, will appreciate the drop back to 2,000 metres today. He failed in the Caulfield Cup last time out. The mile and a half was just a bit too far for him. Massive pools there, plenty of punters having a bet today. 891,000 currently in the Super Tab, and that's still 18 minutes from post time. Now, Confectioner will be ridden by Nash Rawiller.
Grand Army jumped well, Lash missed it by 2. And Reclaim began fast, but so assertive, ain't seen nothing. Grand Army presses on, and Zafara's up there too. But as they go through the first 200 metres now, it's the favourite working over the field, and from the outside barrier, he did that easily. Grand Army crossed the field and did it well by 2 lengths. Zafar ain't seen nothing, settled stirred behind the front runner. They're followed by Reclaim, and Strasbourg is around it with Soyuz, and Vouvray, she's well back on the inside. 2 lengths to Roman Arch, and now Lash last of all. By the 800 metres, Grand Army's been carving out some pretty solid fractions. Led Zafar a half length, ain't seen nothing third the inside. So Assertive is fourth, 1.5 to Strasbourg, Natural Blitz, and then Reclaim. He's being followed by Elegant Fashion and Confectioner as they swing the corner. Vouvray still a long way back. Grand Army around the turn, led by 2 lengths. Zafar under the whip and ain't seen nothing under pressure. Then So Assertive a break further back. Zasmin, Strasbourg, Confectioner pulled out, but Grand Army's away. Past the 300, he's opened up by 5 lengths now. Running on down the outside is Confectioner into second placing from So Assertive. Then came Vouvray, but Grand Army is well clear. He's going to donkey lick them. In the last 100 metres, he just strolls down, and Grand Army scores by 4 lengths Confectioner. Vouvray got up for third, Elegant Fashion fourth, So Assertive fifth. Then Lash, Balmuse, Roman Arch, Zasmin, Strasbourg, and behind them to finish is Reclaim, followed in by Zafar, and then Ain't Seen Nothing, and Natural Blitz last in. Strasbourg, Confectioner pulled out, but Grand Army's away. Past the 300, he's opened up by 5 lengths now. Running on down the outside is Confectioner into second placing from So Assertive. Then came Vouvray, but Grand Army is well clear. He's going to donkey lick them. In the last 100 metres, he just strolls down, and Grand Army scores by 4 lengths Confectioner. Vouvray got up for third, Elegant Fashion fourth, So Assertive fifth.
About $3.9 million in prize money at 2,000 metres of made for age. This bloke now is
good. This is the horse that lowered the colours of the group. Same way here again. He's just run them off their legs from the halfway point. At the point of the corner, Cruising on. He was so far in front of them halfway down the straight. I think Damien got a shock when he looked around.
It's a good point you made, because he beat Lonhro by...
He just grew underneath me, and I had to look halfway at the straight, and I thought, where are they?
Rider of Elegant Fashion had a look at the video, but correct weight has now gone through. Grand Army recording a big Group 1 win in the McKinnon Stakes.
Bellevue's Raymond.
Yeah, as I said, well done, Gay Waterhouse. Grand Army at $2.70 favourite, Confectioner second, Vouvray third. Was I overstating that about the best horse in Australia?
No, he proved it last year when he beat Lonhro. That was the highest rating performance since Might and Power. And he, as I've said earlier, that he was very unlucky. But today they went out with plan, and I don't think they had it. I don't think the horse had a good plan in the Cox Plate, whatever the plan was. And he was brilliant yesterday. He sustained speed the entire race. He may have been assisted by Zasman jumping very awkwardly, because Zasman may have put a little bit more pressure on him early, but he was dominant yesterday, and yes, he is the best horse in the country.
And it exemplified Richard and Alf, that terrific fourth in the Cox Plate.
Look, I think he's the best horse in Australia. And when you go through the field that ran against him yesterday, you find me a weight for age horse in the race. Elegant Fashion was there, and imported, had to travel. She seems to be finding, it tough to produce her Hong Kong form here in Australia. But I thought...
Well, the margin was 5 lengths, says Grand Army, giving Gay Waterhouse her first weight for age win in Melbourne for 8 years, when All Our Mob won that race all those years ago.
Flemington, race number 8. And Recapitalise is the favourite here for the Salinger. I should say the equal top race, 60. $4.30 for Tycoon, $8.80 Dilly Dally, $7.90 Recapitalise, $6 Lilando, and Takeover Target at $6.70. J Ford is on Takeover Target. It's well fancied, and we're about to hear from young Jay at Flemington.
Very convincing last start at Caulfield. This is a totally different scenario down the straight, as opposed to where a horse...
Recapitalise jump well with Takeover Target. Lilando down to the inside, and Legally Bay got away quickly. They look like they're all going flat side rail here as they settle into stride, and Tycoon was away fast. Strike Line is up there too, and Squilani showed prominently. By the 1,000 metres they race now, and Lilando 3 away from the rail would have the lead, I'd say, ahead of Recapitalise, and Takeover Target just in behind the front runner. Closely followed by Tycoon, deeper out as going forward. Then Strike Line just behind them, followed further back by Recurring, and Legally Bay tucked away to the inside with Squilani. Further back as the Consul Scaredy Cat is wider on the track, and they're followed then by Goldwell's well back in company with Dilly Dally. Then Pat Pong and Face Values and Basil and Blessum is last of all by the 400, and Lilando by 2 lengths to Takeover Target. Then Recapitalise under pressure from Recurring, and further back Tycoon is battling, but it's Takeover Target who's raced to the lead at the 200. Lilando can't find. Recurring is running on, but it is Takeover Target at the 100 by 2. Recurring is battling away strongly, but Takeover Target, welcome to the big lead. Beat Recurring, flashing home for thirds, and Basil, I'd say, from Lilando, and then Strike Line, Pat Pong, Face Value, Legally Bay, followed in by Recapitalise, and then Goldwell, Squilani, Blessum, well back as the Consul, followed by Scaredy Cat, Dilly Dally, and Tycoon is one of the last over the line.
Welcome to the big time, Greg. So, this is a sensation. This horse has had 7 starts for 7 wins, has not lost a race. He has been absolutely brilliant. And the taxi driver from Queanbeyan, J Ford, the young apprentice, having his only ride here today. What a racehorse he is. He has, but this is just outstanding. First up for 108 days. Taxi driver he might be, Joe, but he can train. This is a racehorse and a half. We've seen a Derby winner win his 7th from 8 today. We've seen the Seppelt winner have 7 starts for 7 wins. What a performance. 1:8.2 he's run, 11...
An incredible story, Bruce, Joe. That turned out to be $1,400 fairly well spent.
I reckon so, yeah.
Yeah. In your wildest dreams, did you think he could do that in a Group 1 race on Derby Day?
No, mate, realistically, I didn't think he was fit enough to do it, no. I was hoping to run a pace, so I would have been good enough to do that there.
Tell us the story for the people who don't know of how you came by this horse, and I'm sure you're sparing a thought for John Morris at the moment too.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Well, I bought him at a tried sale, and I got in touch with John after I bought him, and John said he'd had no problems with him, and they just didn't want to persist with him anymore. But he told me, he said the horse is not only capable of winning group races, but he's capable of winning Group 1 races, so he was spot on from the word go.
Finally taking someone else's taxi home tonight?
Yeah, I don't know what's happening tonight, mate. Quite honest, yeah.
I think it'll be plenty. Well done.
Yeah.
Straight when you hit the front about the 250-metre mark, how'd you feel?
I felt really good because he was going really well, you know. When I asked him to go, he just let down and he really finds those 2-3 lengths really quick, you know, and he's just a superstar, the horse, you know.
Now this horse...
1,773, correct weight.
So how he pulls up, yeah.
Not a man of many words is our Joe Janiak. Good on you, Joe. Take over target by Celtic's swing out of Shady Stream. Recurring second, and St Basil flying home for third. And aboard, the runner-up Recurring has added an annex and a little garden setting to his caravan.
Yes, it's an amazing story, that Joe Janiak buying the horse for $1,400 in a tried stock sale. And I think it's also a tribute to the late John Morris, who had this horse as a youngster. And when Joe Janiak rang John after he'd purchased the horse had been with John, and John's owners had lost patience with the injuries the horse had suffered. And when Joe Janiak rang John and asked him about takeover target, John said, look, this horse has not only got group winning potential, he's got Group 1 winning potential if you can get his knee right. And it looks like Joe has done that. Jay Ford there, he speaks well, he rides well too. He never got overawed by know how far he can go, this horse. He just keeps winning. They keep setting the bar higher and he keeps leaping it.
And look, I'm just in awe of that winner, and you know, 7 out of 7 now. He went out for a spell after winning the Ramornie, you know, on a mid-range, good rating, and came back and just, you know, a career best, you know, up there with Spark of Life type rating. Just an outstanding horse, and he absolutely, you know, he was the on-pace.
And Great is Great, our top rater for the last, ahead of the Inform Nips, Solar Antiquity and Monaghan Tweed, 8, 4, 17 and 10. It's a pretty tough race, the last. Oscar Warrior at $3.60, the favourite. Amtrak at $7.60, and Great is Great is $8.20. $10 for Red Oog, down to Striking Vic. Gerald Ryan. He's back on again today, and we're going to hear from Larry on the chances of striking victory at Flemington.
They should be really running along solidly. Monaghan Tweed, Great is Great. They've got to try and get him back behind them. Yeah, I'm looking for...
Line looks good. Off they go. Solar Antiquity slow. Red Oog missed it by 2 lengths. And first out is Impaler, bounced ahead of Amtrak into second placing quickly. Monaghan Tweed retaining the inside in third place from Oscar Warrior, who's going up into about fourth in company with Nips. They're trailed by Greek Adonis, caught wide in the orange silks, and a length to Great is Great. Solar Antiquity getting up on the Amtrak is second. Monaghan Tweed running third on the inside from Oscar Warrior, who's improving 3 wide. They're followed by Greek Adonis coming 4 wide. Great is Great just behind them in the blue and gold colours. Nips is right off the track coming around the home turn, and then Regent Street down on the rail. Solar Antiquity was next. They swing the corner. Amtrak raced up and went to the lead. Oscar Warrior's coming on down the outside, and then Monaghan Tweed getting up on the rail from Solar Antiquity. Amtrak at the 300 led Impaler. Regent Street making ground the rail. Great is running on. Oscar Warrior's gone inside the 200. Amtrak on top. Great is Great, the danger down the outside. Great is racing to Amtrak. Great is Great put the head in front of Amtrak, and Great is Great a nick to Amtrak on the line. Photo for third between Force Apollo and Regent Street, wide apart. Sky Cuddle ran on. Monaghan Tweed just behind them from Lord Volksrad. Solar Antiquity, and then Red Oog, who missed the jump. They're followed Striking Victory behind them. Impaler, Emission, Oscar Warrior beaten a long way from home.
Amtrak won over 1,400 at Caulfield during the Caulfield Cup Carnival. But this...
what a monster crowd. I just can't believe 115,500.
Certainly large, isn't it, Andrew? But look, a good day's racing, as Derby Day always is during the course of the year. But nevertheless, that's the way it goes. Takeover Target, simply awesome. I know he's a good horse, but I still can't get my head around the fact that...
Greg Urell and Luke Nolan combining. Amtrak second. Regent Street getting third in a very close back in midfield, so I don't think any excuses can be said for that. Anything anything to add there, Michael?
No, I just think the one that Alf highlighted there, Sky Cuddle, it was a sensational run. About the 800 there, I don't know what happened. It was like they were playing ping pong with each other. They were bashing and barging. Yeah, super effort. It's going to win plenty of races.
There's a media conference.
Let's have a look at the overseas contingent for the Melbourne Cup. We're going to start off with Vinnie Rowe. The statistics for Vinnie Rowe coming up on your screen. It's drawn 10. Dermot Weld aboard. Patrick Smullen aboard. Now, Dermot Weld, the trainer. Patrick Smullen aboard. Now, this is the first horse to win the same Group 1 race 4 years running. That's when it won the Irish St Leger at the Curragh back in September. We're going to take you...
I mean, it's seemingly outlandish that Vinnie Rowe wouldn't run on a firm track, but there's logic to that as well, isn't there, Jeffrey? He's arthritic, the horse, and he couldn't fire on a firm track.
Yeah, he knows the horse so well, and he's very, very...
On September 18, it had been a year between winning drinks for Connections.
Yeah, but he was very, very impressive. He got a little bit... of break with this race of mine all year, so they kept this race in mind for him, so they're coming here very fresh, you know.
Well, let's watch the finish of the race. This is Patrick Smullen aboard Vinnie Rowe. He's his Melbourne Cup jockey, and he virtually has been glued to this horse.
Vinnie Rowe wins it for Pat Smullen. Brian Baru, first charter, Dubai success.
Hey, that was good on my calculation, so if we don't get any rain, it may not suit him, but if the forecast is correct and the rain does come, he's definitely in the race with a chance, because we all know how good he is.
John?
He's a courageous stayer, this horse. He really, really, really wants to hit the line, and he and one other international horse, which I'll mention when we get to it, are the big worry for Maccabi Diva.
Might get rain in the afternoon, but if they get the rain and he runs, he's the one to beat.
And he's got to be in the race. It'll be interesting to see what the boys have to say. Distinction. This is Sir Michael Stout's first Australian starter, I believe. Darren Beedman's aboard it. It's drawn barrier 12.
But this year it's very different. And
well, that's him in the black. Excuse me, interrupting Harry, but the black cap and the black armbands, isn't it?
Yeah, that's him. And you know, he's carrying a big weight this day. He's got a very good cruising speed, this horse, but this is what we're seeing now. He'll really get his head down, and he's much, much stronger in a tight finish. That's sort of a real Kieran Fallon drive. As Kieran said after the race, we thought knew he was going to win, and the further they go, probably the further he's going to win.
So much.
And in rating terms, Timeform is our big sort of ratings book at home. This horse has now gone up to 120, and that's a very significant rating, and puts him, you know, certainly at the weights against the likes of Vinnie Rowe, Media Puzzle. You know, you'd certainly be happy to take them on with his current rating. Would you?
Well, I think this is the one for Maccabi Diva to beat. Distinction has the European lungs, the pedigree and the legs, and it's got the best jockey. He has come good at the right time. He's coming off very, very, very strong form, and I like the fact that it hasn't had the run at Caulfield, to be honest. And Distinction Distinction is very, very hard to beat.
Do you want to hang up? If you're watching the show last year, you couldn't help but have something on Maccabi Diva after listening to Dominic Byrne and also Alfie Matthews. Well, with a class surrounding just about all factors on Dominic Byrne, well, about you too, Dominic Byrne, but about Maccabi Diva, isn't it?
Yes, Maccabi has got a wonderful form pattern behind here. I've got a graphic here that I'd like to show you. I studied the last 10 years running of the Melbourne Cup. And in that 10 years, there's been about 200 Australian horses go round, and there's only been 3 horses in that 10-year history who've gone into the Melbourne Cup having had 4 runs, who peaked at their 4th run. So by that I mean that their career highest rating was their 4th run in from a spell, and the run leading up to the Melbourne Cup. You'll notice on the graph that every single one of them went ahead. They are Doremus in 95, Ethereal in 01, and Maccabi Diva last year. So out of 200 horses that have gone into the Melbourne Cup with this pattern, there's only 3, and all 3 won. Maccabi Diva has exactly the same pattern again this year, because 4th up from a spell, it returned its career highest rating. Last year, its career highest rating at the time was the Caulfield Cup, and it went on to win the Melbourne Cup. The evidence from a charting point of view, often you can, when a horse produces such a big rating as Makybe did, you get anxious about maybe that it might come down. This history would show that it's not going to come down. If it doesn't come down in rating from the Caulfield Cup, it'll just about win the Caulfield Cup. The scary thing for the Europeans is that it's likely to improve. The race will be over if it does improve. It'll be a great contest down the straight, and Makybe Diva fighting it out with the international horses if it just stays on its Caulfield Cup rating. I think Makybe Diva will win the Cup.
It's music to Lee Friedman's ears.
Way down the highway, that Glenn Boss said that he thinks she feels the best she's ever felt since he's been riding it.
Quickly, just
over Hugs Dancer, Makybe Diva. Michael, Hugs Dancer, you like? Distinction, and if it's dry,
yep,
Pacific Dancer. Dominic, you're sticking with Makybe Diva.
I am, yes, and Distinction is the danger with Vinnie Rowe third pick.
Okay, Alfred?
Yeah, I've stuck with Makybe Diva, Vinnie Rowe, and I just thought particularly...
I'll stick with Makybe Diva. She's had the right prep. She's proven 2-miler, proven 2-mile jockey, proven 2-mile trainer, got all the...
May become one of the great staying mares in Australian racing history. I think he's right. That's why I'm putting her at top of Vinnie Rowe and Distinction. I think we've named
currently at
Vinnie Rowe and Distinction. I think we've named
currently at $4.25. Vinnie Rowe $6.50. Elvstrom at 10s with Pacific Dancer. She's Archie. Media Puzzle.
Some of the nation. Last year's winner Makybe Diva attracting one bet of $150,000 to win more than $600,000. Mark Reed unsuccessful in his bid to win $1 million on Vinnie Rowe. So to another punter wanting to back last year's favourite Mamool at the lucrative odds of $41 to win $2 million. Damien.
And brutal as they come.
She's just got an amazing set of lungs. I've never ridden a horse like it. You can actually train her, sort of run 1.5 miles and she'll run 2 miles. She's just got the best set of lungs, I suppose. She's like the Ian Thorpe, I suppose. If I do find trouble and lose a length here and there, I know I'm going to find 2 when I let her go. So, you know, it's a great spot to be in.
And if
going to have to be battened. And if going to have to be battened down here in the next few minutes. And then how much rain after that? Look at the dust coming off the car parks over the back there. Look at the people scattering, trying to find some cars. Of course, if you're picking one out under the trees at the back, I think you've left it too late. Well, luck of the Irish, you'd be smiling Dermot, wouldn't he? Dermot has done it again. He's ordered this. I sense a conspiracy here. He's ordered this, for sure. Have a look at this. This is trying to resurrect something here. How lucky were those women in the fashions on the field?
I was happy this morning. I think the track management had done an excellent job. They had the right call not to water yesterday evening. The track, it was in super order this morning. It was on the far side. There was a calculated risk. The rains come. What is it?
The storms and high winds that has disrupted Flemington, scenes that you've rarely seen before, and has turned this Emirates Melbourne Cup upside down. The last 2 races have been run in the most atrocious conditions, but the show goes on because...
Absolutely wild since the previous race. Just extraordinary conditions here. It just started spitting rain at 10 minutes past 1, and within a few moments it just turned remarkably. There were huge...
A couple of other boxes and things like that, so that's a bit of a concern when that happens. Dan Nicolich has just said to John Letts that it's the worst conditions that he's ever experienced, and he thinks it's getting to be dangerous out there. Oh, well, we'll look at it and assess it, but certainly the wind and the rain didn't help. It was very, very uncomfortable, but we'll certainly be having a look at it, Peter, and we won't ask the riders to ride in unsafe conditions, but something...
In for the Emirates Melbourne Cup, there they are, equal top raters, 5 Makybe Diva and 17 She's Archie, followed by Distinction, and then there's a group of them on 90. On track, the favourite is Makybe Diva. It's had support, $4.20 on the tote, very close to what they're betting on track. Vinnie Rowe has been a touch easy on track. Good value of the tote, though, at the moment. Distinction has been a touch easy in early markets on track, but it's very similar to what they're betting its horse at the moment at $13. Big field, 24 to line up in this
area of the course. Vinnie Rowe already tumbling down. I understand there are massive money coming in for Vinnie Rowe from all points of Australia at the moment. Makybe Diva, though, has been very, very solid as well. That reflects its tote price. I wouldn't his horse's Distinction.
Makybe Diva has been back, we've been told, from $4.30 to $3.20. It sounds like her owner, who's a massive punter, Tony Santic, may have had a bet today.
He did the same in the Caulfield Cup, Bruce. He had a massive bet in the last minutes of betting, and it looks as though he's done the same here today. That is a huge move to shorten that much in a Melbourne Cup. It's not...
It's Melbourne Cup for 2004. Vinnie Vinnie Rowe at 6.10 on the tote, Mackay Diva at 4.10. They clearly dominate that first page of the latest market on the tote. Let's scroll up to our second group, Distinction. It's been kept pretty safe on track.
Now, Andrew, you've got to be a little bit hard at different times, and you know, for anybody that's investing in a race.
And finally, Emirates Melbourne Cup. Hard to Get began well with Mummify and Winning Bell in the middle of the line, and Catch Me If You Can seemed to jump reasonably down on the inside. Elstrom has got away well. Hugs Dancer's up there, and Zasman is going forward through the early stages. Mackay Diva not too far away. He's got across to be about 7th or 8th as they settle down. Winning Bell improving with Mummify wide out and Don Rafael as they settle down past the 2800. Zasman is taking up the running. There's not a lot of speed about. He leads narrowly from Mummify, going up to join him now. Winning Bell into the ball out towards the 2,000 metres in the cup, and Zasman the leader. He's a length and a half in front. Mummify is second. Elstrom third on the inside. A length and a half to Don Rafael. Winning Bell is in next position, followed by Catch Me If You Can in the purple colours. The rail then came Hard to Get. A length further back is Raz Colour. Hugs Dancer around him, 1.5 Mamool, followed by Del Zayo. 2 lengths away is Vinnie Rowe, tracking a little bit wide at the 1,800 metres, followed by Roman Arch, and then came Mackay Diva. She's Archie and neck away on the inside of the favourite, followed by Pacific Dancer, still racing wide from Grey Song and Distinction between runners. 2 lengths away, Media Puzzle, Another Warrior, Honours Earn, and then Strasbourg upset them, is back at the tail with Lash just ahead of her now. Out towards the 1,400, a new leader as Don Rafael was let stride, and he's gone out clear by 2 to 3 lengths. In second placing, Hard to Get, and they're 2 lengths in front of Zasman and then Mummify. 2 lengths further back is Elstrom being followed, Winning Bell and Catch Me If You Can together. A couple of lengths away is Hugs Dancer, Raz Colour, 1.5 to Mamool. They're followed by Del Zayo, a length to Vinnie Rowe, about 15 from the leader, and then Roman Arch and Mackay Diva. Pacific Dancer well back as She's Archie and Distinction, and they're followed then by Media Puzzle around the outside. Honours Earn's making a run there, followed by Lashed, Grey Song, Strasbourg, and Another Warrior's 3 lengths away up the side, and Don Rafael by a length and a half at the 800. Hard to Get as second. In third placing on the inside is Zasman as they come around the home turn. Mummify outside it, and they were followed as they come around the turn by Catch Me If You Can the inside. One running on around the outside with a run now as they swing for home as Media Puzzle, and Distinction has come with it, and back behind those horses then Vinnie Rowe is working into it. Hard to Get led at the home turn from Zasman. Catch Me If You Can, Mummify and Elstrom. Down the outside is Honours Earn, and Vinnie Rowe is coming home well, and further back is Distinction. Zasman at the 300, the leader. Here comes Vinnie Rowe. Elstrom coming with him. Mackay Diva. She's got right up on the inside, Mackay Diva. She's hit the front now from Vinnie Rowe and Zasman. It's Mackay Diva clear. She's out by 2 lengths to Vinnie Rowe. It's Mackay Diva clear, and she's going to do what no mare has ever done. Mackay Diva wins it again. Vinnie Rowe second, Zasman third, Elstrom fourth, then Hugs Dancer, Distinction, Mamool. Catch Me If You Can, followed by Honours Earn and Strasbourg. Next was Raz Colour, and they're followed by Media Puzzle, Grey Song. Behind them Another Warrior, Roman Arch, Winning Bell, upset the Mummify, Pacific Dancer, Don Rafael, Hard to Get, and Lashed was second or third last. A couple more are Del Zayo and She's Archie. They've just walked over the line. It has been one of the great rides of the Melbourne Cup, a history-making win by Mackay Diva. Down the outside is Honours Earn, and Vinnie Rowe is coming home well, and further back is Distinction. Zasman at the 300, the leader. Here comes Vinnie Rowe. Elstrom coming with him. Mackay Diva. She's got right up on the inside, Mackay Diva. She's hit the front now from Vinnie Rowe and Zasman. It's Mackay Diva clear. She's out by 2 lengths to Vinnie Rowe. It's Mackay Diva clear, and she's going to do what no mare has ever done. Mackay Diva wins it again. Vinnie Rowe second, Zasman third, Elstrom fourth, then Hugs Dancer, Distinction, Mamool. Catch Me If You Can.
4th Melbourne Cup. Lee Freedman, a 4th Melbourne Cup is with Peter Donegan.
Lee Freedman, this mare has created history in the Melbourne Cup.
She's one of the greats. She's one of the greatest mares to race in this country. To be able to do that today on that ground with the weight, she's a fantastic racehorse.
Magnificent run, magnificent ride too.
Yeah, he had her a long way back, but he saved a lot of ground. When she got through on the inside, he just said to me, don't worry, if I hit the front of the 200, he said she'll be too strong for him, and she was.
Aware of the history going into the race and the fact that it was all against her, did it mean anything to you?
It did, but it was like having a present under the tree, and I couldn't open it till 3:15.
When you came out of the jockey's room, you watched the race on the monitor back there, you were lost for words for a minute.
I never said a word until there was blokes starting to congratulate me with about 100 to run. I mean, it's such a hard race. But she's a great racehorse.
I know back, but what a win!
Oh, I think, it's fantastic. I just can't
and
believe
here
my
comes your trainer, Lee Friedman, to join us live on air.
What a chance.
That's 3 for you, isn't it?
4.
4, Jesus, we'll have to catch up, won't
Yeah,
we?
mate, you're on the bloody back foot.
You've won 4th, Lee Friedman, 2 for Tony Sandick. Summarise it, boys. Who's going to talk?
She's the greatest staying mare ever raced in this end of the world, and maybe one of the greatest ever in the world.
I agree with that.
Yeah. In the end,
nursed her on the inside. He didn't go around the horse, and then he just let a superior staying talent take over. It's one of the greatest mares. One of the greatest mares. Certainly the greatest mare I've ever had anything to do with.
Did you have any?
She just gave me the best ride again. You know, it's just one of those frigging things. I felt when I got to the 2,000 metre mark, I thought, fuck, I'm in that same spot again. I just felt so good. And she just felt brilliant underneath me. And when I was getting to the half mile, honestly, I just felt like I was in that zone again. She just gave me everything she had. What a mighty mare.
Glenn, you've won something in your life that you've dreamed of, isn't it?
And she's the first mare ever to win the Cup twice. She's the first horse ever to win the Cup with 2 different trainers, David Hall last year, and the man who I'm sitting alongside, his brother today, Lee Friedman, has won the 4th Melbourne Cup. Only 2 trainers, Bart Cummings and Eddie and DeMestre, have won more Melbourne. This was an inspired ride. Vinnie Rowe's performance, by the way, these are the 2 giants of world racing, the 2 great 2-mile giants. And they put Zasman behind them.
But 2-mile horse, Lee told me this mare has the best heart lung of any racehorse I've ever trained. She is totally brilliant and so kind. You saw her walk.
We'll let you know it was. The dividends just came up. Look, Sunline is arguably the best mare we've ever seen in this country, but we have never seen a better staying mare. This mare carried a weight record for any mare in the history of the Melbourne Cup today. She has never lost a race at 2 miles, and still Glenn is going. Maybe Diva goes from champion to legend. She becomes a legend in the history of this race that means so much to this country. She is up there with the greatest names of the past. We've never seen a mare quite like her.
I'm not a legend. That's the most amazing adrenaline rush. I've just never felt anything like that.
And to saw in the race, Bossy?
Oh, when I got to the 1200, I just felt like it was just like a flashback to last year. I just felt so comfortable and relaxed. Honestly, I just felt like I'm just in that little bubble again. I'm in a little world of my own. And she just felt so good to me. She never missed a beat in that soft going. She never missed one beat. And when I got to the 600, she just moved up between them. And I tell you, honestly, I just felt like I was in a little world of my own. I was just doing whatever I wanted to do. It was like a walk in the park. And that's exactly what I felt last year. It was just amazing.
For the biggest distinction, Zasman at the 300, the leader. Here comes Vinnie Rowe. Elstrom coming with him. Makybe Diva. She's got right up on the inside, Makybe Diva. She's hit the front now from Vinnie Rowe and Zasman. It's Makybe Diva clear. She's out by 2 lengths to Vinnie Rowe. It's Makybe Diva clear, and she's going to do what no mare has ever done. Makybe Diva wins it again. Vinnie Rowe second.
That was a great run.
It was a great run. Tremendous run. Beaten by an outstanding mare. I thought he'd win there just a furlong down. He came with his usual brave, courageous run. You can see why he's run 24 races and never been out of the first 4. But we might even be back next year.
You might bring him back again?
Well, we might. We'll see. Today was his day, you know what I mean? He had everything in his favour today, and he ran a superb race. You know, if you can see my delight, you must, of course, we'd have loved to have won. We're beaten by an outstanding mare. Excellent for racing. Probably the best result the Melbourne Cup could have. 2 of the best stayers in the world.
That makes the victory even more glorious for who she beat.
Yes.
Because Vinnie Rowe handled the conditions today. $4.10 and $2. Vinnie Rowe $2.60. Zasman $22.20. He won a race here last year, a minor race, and today, with a young boy riding him for any other of his wins, 730,000. Zasman third, Tony Vazel trained third and fourth today. Alstrom was fourth. Hugs Dancer fifth for Tony McAvoy. Distinction Darren Beedman, Sir Michael Stout.
On Vinnie Rowe, you tried hard.
Yeah, he's run an excellent race. We got a lovely run round. Just had to come a little way up wide on the turn into the straight, but we got beaten by a very, very good mare. She's exceptional. My horse has run the race of his life and just weren't good enough on the day.
Thanks, Pete.
Coming around the turn, he quickened off the turn good and hit the front, and yeah, it's the biggest thrill I've had in my life. First ride in the Cup to run third, it's just awesome.
Deservedly so, and there's quite a groundswell of support for taking her overseas and running her in the Arc.
The result took
history, and deservedly so, and there's quite a groundswell of support for taking her overseas and running her in the Arc.
The result took the bookies to the cleaners, with first and second placed horses the only ones in single figures. The TAB in Victoria took a record $30,554,000 on the Cup alone. For one-time favourite She's Archie, the Cup has turned out to be her final race. The 6-year-old
favourite there, and of course when the favourite wins the Melbourne Cup, the punters are happy and the bookies are crying, and it was tremendous relief for Lee Freedman in this event. Vinnie Rowe brave in defeat, and Zasman, the 100-to-1 shot, well, that happens in a Melbourne Cup, but it was great relief for Lee because he knew he was under pressure. This mare had already won a Melbourne Cup for David Hall. David had handed her over in beautiful condition to Lee, and Lee was under pressure to try and produce another result with the mare, and he did, and that's what it almost felt like it was oozing out of his pores, the relief, and for Glenn Boss as well. They just felt uncritic of the ride, I'll tell you that right now. I know people say that's the way they ride them in Europe, but, gee, I thought he did it tough, Vinnie, with a big weight. And Dominic Byrne, once again, with his stats and figures, he said this mare was unbeatable. Well, it appears as though he was right.
Great ride. Great ride in the winner. Just put so much, as he said, he put so much pressure on himself, but he thrives under pressure, Bossy. A special mention for Nicholas Ryan's ride on that third horse too. He didn't panic when they all went around him. I thought his ride was sensational in the race as well on Zasman.
I've watched the best stayers from two hemispheres colliding. Two great horses. Maccabi Diva becoming the first mare to do back-to-backs in the long history of the Cup, becoming the first #1 saddlecloth carrier to win in 50 years. This was a race to savour and remember.
And I tell you what, I do agree that it was a terrific ride by Glenn Boss. However, a lot of people were critical of Patrick Smullen's ride, and Richard, you've just said that you were a little bit critical of it. But I tell you what, if you want to go back and have a good look at it, I honestly believe he gave the horse every conceivable chance. Where Glenn, of his own admittance, said that he was on the worst part of the track, Patrick Smullen's was on the best part of the track from about the 900-metre mark. Even though he was forced to cover a little bit of ground around the first corner, that's all he did wrong, and he was only just easing out to give himself a little bit more room and still had cover. I tell you what, a lot of people have criticised him. I've criticised the European riders in the past, not this time. No way known. I thought he rode it very, very well.
I'm inclined to agree. I agree too.
You're nuts, you blokes.
I really agree with that.
Where was you're out of your mind.
You've got to concede that it was pouring down rain. Where do you think you want to be when Flemington, when it's pouring down rain?
Not three deep with the top weight.
Where was it ever going to be from that barrier? I think we've been far too critical.
Hey, he actually made his way to the outside of the field. He wanted to be there. And look, that's the way they ride them. That's their tactics. I'm just happy for them to come down every year and keep doing it.
I've seen a lot worse.
So have I.
How are some figures and the Sky ratings. It's Hollow Bullets, top rater, from Kylie Kwong, Storm Alert and Mango Daiquiri. Equal favourites, 1 and 4. And there's really not much between Hollow Bullet and Storm Alert on Unitab either. Just a field of 8 fillies in the Oaks this year. Hollow Oaks won't take long to load them up. Only a field of 8 to go in, I think.
By a length and a half. Hollow Bullet jump well, and Tackett immediately grabs hold and drops in behind you, McQuest and Mango Daiquiri. Storm Alert outside the favourite, who gets her head up down past the judge. Zaza improved, got to third. Then Vintner, Kylie Kwong, Dan Storm Alert. Hollow Bullet back on the inside of her, and then Kylie Kwong creeping a touch closer. A length and a half to Vintner. Dan Zeta pulls out to start a run. Mango Daiquiri came to the 800, 3/4 clear from Zaza. McQuest behind them. Storm Alert poised to pounce. Hollow Bullet to just temporarily held up. Kylie Kwong's moving up around her, and they're trailed by Vintner at the back of the field with Danzietta. The Crown Oaks field for home. Mango Daiquiri a half length in front from Zaza. Quest waits on the run. Storm Alert ready to go. Kylie Kwong's come around them, and Hollow Bullet's in traffic. Into the straight to the 450, and it's Mango Daiquiri by 2 lengths. Storm Alert and Kylie Kwong. Hollow Bullet had to ease over their heels. She's in clear room now, but Mango Daiquiri the leader by a length. Kylie Kwong, Storm Alert are coming after her, and then Hollow Bullet. Mango Daiquiri with 100 to go. Storm Alert and Kylie Kwong plays at every stride. A 3-way go. Storm Alert and Kylie Kwong. Hollow Bullet lifting late. Storm Alert, Kylie Kwong, Hollow Bullet. I think she's got there. Hollow Bullet by a nose. What a run. Fantastic to beat either Kylie Kwong or Storm Alert, and Mango Daiquiri just close up in 4th place. That is a magnificent Oaks finish. Behind them is Quest, and then came Vintner, and a long break in the field to Zaza and Danzietta. I think the...
Tell you what, he's got there in the last hop, Hollow Bullet, over Kylie Kwong, and look at Ollie on Storm Alert, pushing and pushing.
And Daiquiri the leader by a length. Kylie Kwong, Storm Alert are coming after her, and then Hollow Bullet. Mango Daiquiri with 100 to go. Storm Alert and Kylie Kwong close at every stride. A 3-way go. Storm Alert and Kylie Kwong. Hollow Bullet lifting late. Storm Alert, Kylie Kwong, Hollow Bullet. I think she's got there. Hollow Bullet by a nose. What a run. Fantastic to beat either Kylie Kwong or Storm Alert, and Mango Daiquiri just close up in 4th place. That is a magnificent Oaks finish. Behind them is...
Tough horse. In your wildest dreams, you wouldn't have thought you were going to win at the 200.
No. Well, we were going to run 4th. She just sort of half-high peaked on it there for a minute, and David just kept on lifting her and lifting her and lifting her.
And switched the whip too?
At the 200, I thought, well, no hope. I thought if we could run 2nd or 3rd, it would have been a mighty run. But on the line, she was just so strong. She ran the 2500 out nice and well. So, yeah, it was a great win, I thought.
What is it like to train for the bunch of owners that you do train for?
Oh, they're good blokes to train for. Yeah, they're all mates of ours. Myself and Brent Clayton, my business partner, he set the syndicate up and for him today.
He's a terrific bloke, John McArdle. He was our foreman at Markdale for a couple of years before he took off on his own and did his own thing. And Lee Friedman said after the win, I taught him everything he knows except how to dress. He's a tremendous horseman, John, and he's had this filly going well all spring. This was an afterthought, and it's very difficult to win with afterthoughts. Damien Oliver and Danny Nikolic on the 2 other place getters, Storm Alert and Kylie Kwong. They actually stitched David Taggart up, and poor old David was like... he was like the 3rd man out. They had him in a pocket, they boxed him in, they left him behind, and he still had the horse underneath him, and he didn't panic, he just...
It sure was an exciting race, there's no doubt about it, but the same question comes up every year. Should this race be 2,000 metres? I'm starting to think yes.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind it should be. I have to say about Ollie, he'd been under a lot of pressure all spring, you know.
Flemington for race 8, the Lexus Classic. Let's have a look at a few of these before Ascot. Bomber Bill, good old horse health.
Spot on.
Regimental Gal has been very easy on track, under the tote at 570. Fastnet Rock is pretty similar, flip of the coin odds. Mloza
is classic over 1,200 metres. Here's the full replay.
They're set. Ready, racing in the Lexus. Fastnet Rock jumped OK. Mloza alongside him began OK too. So did Deprave. Regimental Gal on the far side has bounced out of the stalls well and is with the leading division, and so is Dandy Kid. So to us, in behind them is Recurring and Super Impressive, with Bomber Bill in the light blue colours at the tail of the field. Regimental Gal had the lead down at the 600 from Mloza and Fastnet Rock, within about 2 lengths of the leader, no more. Impaler in behind them, and Dandy Kid runs on down the outside. Recurring boxed up behind Fastnet Rock. Super Impressive on the far side. At the 350, Regimental Gal leading only narrowly. Oh, Fastnet Rock's cantering on the outside. Bossy had a big look around. Super Impressive on the far side's coming with him, but past the 200 metre mark, Fastnet Rock in front. Super Impressive is giving him a bit of a race. Fastnet Rock a neck in front. Now the 3-year-old starts to pull away. Fastnet Rock too good. Beat Super Impressive by a length and a half. Recurring comes home hard for 3rd, Bomberville 4th, then Dandy Kid, Regimental Gal, Impaler, Mloza and Deprave last in.
Fastnet Rock, he's done it again. He won on Saturday and he's backed up to win today on the Thursday. Ridden by Glenn Classic. Fastnet Rock, Super Impressive and Recurring 9, 2 and 8.
I can't get a rap for Fastnet Rock. I know he's a really nice horse, but he just doesn't excite me. But he does a very, very good job, and he is a genuine sprinter. And when Paul Perry stepped him back to the sprinting distances, he was far too good for these horses. Super impressive and recurring, filling the placings there. But when Bossy looked around, you thought, with a lightweight, how are these old fellas going to beat him? Oh, super impressive. He loves the straight, and he did a great job in recurring. Well, she battled on, but he was in a class of his own here.
Paul Perry certainly worked the horse out. He's got him where he wants him now. He's got him. He says, he's a sprinter. I'll train him like a sprinter, and obviously that's what he is.
Lightning Command and Joy of Flight, 6, 3, 4 and 8 for the ratings.
With Lightning Command, 410 the tote is unders, but at least they're supporting it on track. Demerger here, Elf. I know you've put it in as your 4th tip, but might just have the conditions. Starting to tighten up the tote a little bit now into 960, but you're shopping really well off track.
Nice horse forming on of late.
You didn't mind number as well here for Kelvin Smith. Wayne Hawkeye's got...
Inserted, graduated in the early part of the race. Going forward to Ain't Seen Nothing with Alice in Toyland looking for the lead. Joy of Flight showing pace today with Galvanised, Mutate and Akawi. So there's a fair bit of speed about the early stages of the race. He Galvanised, and then came Lightning Command. She's about 7 lengths from the leader, followed then by Graduated and Ain't Seen Nothing over on the outside. At the 800-metre mark, they were being followed then by Demerger out deep, and further back is Full Spec, and then Babe Zaharias taking off Smart Arch and Kalashani Star last. At the 600 metres, Mutate leading narrowly from Makawi. Fairess has gone up 3 or 4 wide. Umber's coming very deep. Then came just behind them Heck of a Party near the inside. Okawi was next. Now Lightning Command easing to the outside, but under pressure here, followed by Demerger. Kalashani Star and Smart Arch are the widest runners. Umber the leader coming now past the 400. It's Umber in front of Fairess and Demerger. Then came getting up on the inside, Full Spec with the run. Smart Arch grinding home out wide. It's Demerger going up to Umber. Ain't Seen Nothing's coming through on the inside with Full Spec. Demerger in front from Ain't Seen Nothing. 100 to go. Demerger drew a length in front, and she's home. It's Demerger racing clear to win it by a length and a half. Ain't Seen Nothing second, Full Spec third, Smart Arch next from Umber. Long break Babe Zaharias. Lightning Command battled only today from Joy of Flight.
Numbers, Corey Brown a double. Back at this time it was the listed Interlink Stakes for 3-year-olds and the Journey 1400.
Set the run. And they're trailed then as they swing for home by Garbo Storm. Rockethaco a long way back on the inside. Bindings pulled out wide and settled the score. So it's Volatant for home, leading from Picket Fence and Biological King. Just behind that leading division, Krasky is being ridden along aggressively. And then Pin Up Boy, who's under the whip. Rockethaco the inside. Binding is starting to work home the widest. Still Volatant has a kick and leads about a half a length from Picket Fence. Binding still running home. Krasky battles only at the 150. Volatant to the neck in front. Picket Fence is staying with him all of the way, and Binding making ground. He is coming with big bounds now. Binding, he went straight past them. He's a good horse, all right. Binding came away. Smart win. Binding beat Picket Fence, drawing away by more than a length. Volatant third, and then a break to Rockethaco together with Garbo Storm. Krasky seemed to really struggle in the ground today. Then Pin Up Boy settled the score.
Only its third start today. Binding gives Corey Brown a winning treble, and that's a Taunt 4, 2 and 9 on the Interlink Stakes. 4-minute Emirates, Grand Army and Infinite Grace are equal top raters, a bit between them at the weights. 10 kilos. Lad of the Manor and Sir Dex 1, 14, 8 and 18 for the ratings. Grand Army doesn't mind a wet track. He hasn't had a go on a track as heavy as this, but he has one on a slow track. He's at 350.
Grand Army, but the weight's got to be. He's been easy on track. 330 the tote is unders what they're betting. Miss Potential near enough. Great is great. There's value on the tote. Lad of the Manor, it's drifted a point on track, very close on and off. Lord Mick number 11 supported double figure, $12.50 the tote. There's some value. Infinite Grace has been well supported on track. Value the tote at $9.20. And the next best would be Skewiff, out to double figure odds, but still some value on the tote. Alf, late mail for the Group 1 Emirates.
14, 16, 13 and 11. I liked Infinite Grace this morning. I'm more than.
Skewiff jumped well with our Egyptian Rain. Miss Potential pinged away. Sky Cuddle a little slow as getting back early. Lad of the Manor restrained towards the tail of the field. Miss Potential found the lead easily. After 200, she's the leader from Tall Timbers, who came across horse to second. Our Egyptian Rain gets the beautiful trail third, and Grand Army's up there fourth the outside. Great is Great and Lad of the Manor last of all. 12 lengths cover them, 1,000 metres to go. Miss Potential leading narrowly. Grand Army's gone up on the outside, ahead away now. Our Egyptian Rain 1.5 back third, followed by Lord Mick around Tall Timbers, and then came Sky Cuddle as they went by the 800 metres. She's followed by Lord Volksrad and Sir Dex wide and improving. Great is Great trying to follow at home. Skewiff back on the rails, and they're followed by your Consul, Lad of the Manor, St Basil, Silky Red Boxer towards the tail, and Infinite Graces last of all. The toppy Grand Army moved up to Miss Potential. They share the lead. Lord Mick is running on the outside of these, and then came Great is Great. Our Egyptian Rain right behind the leading horses when they balance for home, and then Sky Cuddle and Lord Mick in the straight. Miss Potential the leader. Grand Army not responding to the whip. Our Egyptian Rain is after the Kiwi, then Great is Great, and behind them Sky Cuddle and Skewiff. Miss Potential still had the lead with 200 to go. Our Egyptian Rain is looming large, and Skewiff on the inside, running on Lad of the Manor late. Our Egyptian Rain hit the lead. Sky Cuddle dives through with Skewiff. They hit the line. Sky Cuddle has won it from either Skewiff or Lad of the Manor. And just behind these to finish is Miss Potential, and she's followed closely by Sir Dex and Basil. Our Egyptian Rain, Infinite Grace, and they were trailed by Grand Army, Silky Red Boxer, Great is Great, Lord Mick, and further back is Lord Volksrad. Back towards the end of the field then is the Consul and Tall Timbers. The leader, Grand Army, not responding to the whip. Our Egyptian Rain is after the Kiwi, then Great is Great, and behind them Sky Cuddle and Skewiff. Miss Potential still had the lead with 200 to go. Our Egyptian Rain is looming large, and Skewiff on the inside, running on Lad of the Manor late. Our Egyptian Rain hit the lead. Sky Cuddle dives through with Skewiff. They hit the line. Sky Cuddle has won it from either Skewiff or Lad of the Manor. And just behind these to finish is Miss Potential, and she's followed closely by Sir...
Richard said, could there be a blowout? Jason Bimbo's looking around here. He cannot believe his luck. What a finish. Sky Cuddle, I reckon Lad of the Manor's got...
It's taken out by Sky Cuddle. Jason Benbow, the apprentice, his biggest win. Lad of the Manor and Skewiff, 17, 8 and 16, with Our Egyptian Rain in fourth spot.
Played our way today, so can't complain.
And there's not a happier man apart from yourself, your father.
Yeah.
He's very thrilled.
Yeah, no, it's great credit to Dad, because I wouldn't be here today without him. He's been the backbone of my career all the way through.
What do you do, Andrew? Like, the kid had 10 rides at Geelong this morning, 6 of them were scratched. Peter Moody rang Des Gleeson and said, look, he's got 49, this horse. Can you let him ride?
Yeah.
Des said, you better talk to the steward at Geelong, and they let him ride. Won at Geelong and come here and ride it. He rang me, he said, Dad, you're going to come from Bendigo to watch it? I said, you betcha, mate. Yeah. And I had 25 each way too, $57. But I'm not worried about the money, mate. No. This is the best thing that's happened to me in racing.
Proud Dad, Ben Benbow. I'll tell you what, he was very, very proud yesterday. Sky Cuddle in number 17, $51 for Peter Moody and Jason Benbow. A great story. Lad of the Manor, well, he was valiant, Lad of the Manor, and Skewiff there in third place. A very good effort. She's been going well. Let's talk to some of the jocks on the beaten horses.
The run around the circle, as soon as we hit the course proper onto the straight track, the track probably goes from slow to very heavy. He just floundered in it with a big weight, and they sprinted. He was just all over the place.
Nevertheless, he'd had a great carnival, Grand Army. I thought he'd run brilliantly in Melbourne. An outstanding win, but any one of 5 of them could have won, and there are a couple of unlucky horses too. Sir Dex in the white, just sneaking up behind the leading bunch. You watch him, and he gets into a bit of a squeeze there and gets squeezed out. We can see that the filly Sky Cuddle is just battling away there, one off the inside rail outside Skewiff, and looks like she might run fourth, but suddenly just gets the last little spurt on. What did you make of the race, Alfie, or Keith? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, look, weight, it's always the key factor. You knew the top.
Saddlecloth carried to success there by Sky Cuddle. Earlier in the day, Jason Benbow also carried a number 17 Saddlecloth in a maiden race at Geelong, and he finished last. This mare might go to Perth now for the Railway Stakes. Peter Moody trying to arrange transport. Grand Army, and Grand Army just didn't handle the wet when he let down.
Yep. Yeah, no excuses for Grand Army, but, I'm surprised that, they scratched him out of a Doncaster because of a heavy track and then let him run in a race like that. But anyway, he failed to handle it whatsoever.
If it's back on track after...
Behind 11 NZ,
then Fantastic Love, Pantani and Dancing Daggers. They're the ratings for the Queen Elizabeth, the next at Flemington. And it's a pretty wide open market. $4.60 for Fantastic Love. Manawa King, Greg Childs. It is fifth pick in the market.
So just the 7 to run, 7 withdrawals, the final group race of the VRC's leg of the Spring Carnival. Manawa King jumping reasonably. Tomorrow's Party away okay. De Capo is first out looking for the lead. Ahead of Tomorrow's Party and going forward is Fantastic Love. NZ just behind them, fourth on the inside, and then Manawa. 700 left to go. Could it be another Hatha Anna? It's Fantastic Love coming up towards the turn. Only a neck cleared De Capo. NZ's enjoyed the gun run. He travelled okay third. Then came Tomorrow's Party. Manawa King trying to work clear now as they swing around the turn. Pantani pulls to the outside. Dancing Daggers last, stayed right on the fence. McAvoy on the turn now. Fantastic Love against the fence, which hasn't been used for ages. In front of De Capo, 3 lengths NZ. Manawa King battling out wide. Dancing Daggers is coming from last. 250 to go. Fantastic Love out by about a length and a half now. He's tied. Dancing Daggers is coming. Manawa King staying up very wide. Fantastic Love at the 100 metres from De Capo. Dancing Daggers, Manawa King wide. Fantastic Love clings on slenderly. They hit the line. It might be Fantastic Love has just won it. They're wide apart. Manawa King out deep on the course. De Capo plays over on the inside. And then came Pantani, Dancing Daggers, NZ. Tomorrow's Party back towards the tail of the field.
And I've got to ask you, I saw you on the phone literally, I reckon, 30 seconds after the race. Was that someone from overseas ringing in?
That was Simon Christopher, the racing manager.
Right. Did you hear it?
The Queen Elizabeth stake with all the scratchings.
Yeah, look, it was like a hurdler's flat there. I backed the winner. I was either going to win or run last. It was just a Fantastic Love.
Well, there, $5.50. He drifted a little bit in the ring. Punters took a bit of a shy against him. Manawa King there, $4.40, and De Capo, $9 in a blanket finish. Well, he took the punt. He went blanket finish. Well, he took the punt. He went to the inside and he stayed there. By this time of the afternoon, there was a bit of a strip up the crown, and Alf was quite right. It had been worked over so severely that it was like a potato patch, and Karen McAvoy thought, well, you might as well go to the fences anywhere else, and it paid off, but it nearly didn't. Manawa King was very brave in defeat, Keith.
He was second in this. He was also runner-up to Maccabi Diva in the Sydney Cup. Karen McAvoy said the rail had been traffic-free all day, and he took that gamble. It did pay off. And now, good
for improvement in the Sandown Guineas. But I'll tell you what, I'm really glad it didn't run the Melbourne Cup, because it would have finished in the back end.
Yeah, exactly.
Drive coming, the widest runner. Here's a go, Dame Days. Royal Lakes won't give in. Dame Days, Royal Lakes, Yossarian. Sistrime coming, still winding up. Dame Days, Royal Lakes. Sistrime Cummings, the widest runner. Sistrime coming. Oh, gee, I don't know. Sistrime coming.
I'm so happy
What
for
was
you.
that?
What was that? What the hell was that?
Surely a Tasmanian connection there.
That was...
oh, I see, right. Oh, dear. Oh,
that was...
dear.
Who was called that race?
I'm still in shock.
McIntosh, put on your Rick. That was...
That's disgusting.
That was... Well, that's the name of the horse, Sister I'm Coming. That was at one of the highlights of racing at Mildura during the week. She's got a future. We're going to have a look at now... what are we going to do? Oh, that's right. We're going to have a look
from Edna. She says, just a real champion, and we'll miss him greatly. P.S. Shadow looks fantastic this morning. What's the secret to his youthful looks? Well, it's Botox, darling. The Shadow does look beautiful this morning, and we can thank... What's the doctor's name?
If I'm an example of Botox, that's not what to use in Botox. Oh, you wrote that.
I did not.
Yeah, did you?
Came from a nursing home.
Oh, Edna, well...
I did not.
She's from a retirement home.
Yeah, of course.
Which one?
Edna Wealth.
Did they put the number there?
I know which one.
Edna?
It's best, and Holding 11, 7, 4 and 6. Gee, Holding's going to love those conditions today. The heavy track, it's probably the best wet tracker racing at Sandown today, Holding. 340 at the moment, but Brannigan is the favourite. Let's hear from jockey Luke Curry. He'll be riding Dandy Kid.
Luke, Dandy Kid should thrive.
Very close on and off track. Betting order on track, 11 Brannigan ahead of 6 Holding and 4 Brits.
Then there's Brit's Best, number 4 for
Brits Best away quickly near the inside. Brannigan fast out. Dandy Kid's on the outside, 3 deep. Ryder looking to ease to take a trail, holding on the fence in 4th position. 3/4 away, Bois. And Mr. Lofty dropped out, bound 5.50 to run. Brannigan first for the judge, leading 3/4 Dandy Kid, and Bois going up 3 wide. Brits Best on the fence, holding just behind those and 2 lengths away, Mr. Lofty. Down to the 500 metres mark. Brown hasn't flinched a muscle on Brannigan. He's travelling pretty strongly at the moment. He's a length and a half in front of Dandy Kid, holding, making up ground from Brits Best. Then came Bois and Mr. Lofty. He's full bore on Brannigan now at the 250, and the big horse shot clear. He's 3 lengths in front of Dandy Kid, holding. Then Mr. Lofty, but it's Brannigan a mile in front, 2.5 clear of Dandy Kid, running on Mr. Lofty, but Brannigan is going to trounce them. Brannigan won by 3 lengths to Dandy Kid. Mr. Lofty got 3rd. A photo 4th between Brits Best and holding the outside, and Bois was last of the 6.
4th, Brannigan beat Dandy Kid and Mr. Lofty, 11, 3 and 7.
This was a procession for the winner. He dictated terms to suit himself. The back markers had no hope whatsoever, so it emphasises Mr. Lofty's performance first up there, because they were charging home here, and this horse has got no weight on his back. He's very, very promising and far too good.
You rode slow track at Mornington first up, and I mean, and people who know Mornington.
Down guineas for the 3-year-olds. Race number 6 on the program. So here's the market coming up and the ratings. Binding, they're pretty keen. Number 5 is special. 2 Almaher, 1 Barely a Moment, and 4 Spirit of Tara. 5-2.
Value of the tote at the moment, number 1. The 2's been kept very safe on and off track. Binding, supported on track, very similar on and off, but it is being well supported on track. Kistadan, number 9, near enough on and off, and that's pretty well the best. The next best would be Tara's Halls, number 12. A little bit of value at about $15, but they're backing the favourite, Matt, for the Sandown Guineas, where we have a Melbourne caller calling all the action. Oh, here's a move.
Be ready. Signal, racing in the Guineas. Left in a very good line too. Almaher, one of the first to bounce out here from Ken Grundy, and Barely a Moment. Rockford Bay getting up on the inside, and Light of Prosperity starting to push forward. Ken Grundy just off them when they settle. Light of Prosperity, half Tara's Hall, and Binding last of all at the 800 metre mark, the halfway mark, 15 lengths from the lead. Light of Prosperity led 3/4 Almaher. Then Rockford Bay under some pressure on the outside, Silent Action. Barely a Moment back 5th in the middle. Then came Volatant out deep. A length further back, Spirit of Tara, followed over on the inside by Shadow Park, Tara's Hall, Ken Grundy and Binding last of all, given a crack with a whip there as they turn for home. Down to the 500 metre mark, Light of Prosperity from Almaher, then Rockford Bay, Barely a Moment from Kistadan the rail. Further back, Light Action, Binding still about 8 to 9 lengths off them. Volatant down the middle with also Tara's Hall, and Binding starting to wind up. He's coming with a run now. Barely a Moment getting out after the leader Almaher, and here comes Binding. He's coming with a withering run with Volatant in the middle. The leader Almaher, Binding's got them though. He's charged to the front, Binding from Almaher, and Binding, what a brilliant galloper he is. Binding wins it, 3/4 to either Barely a Moment or Almaher. 4th home as Lords are leaping out wide, followed by Kistadan. Then further back was Volatant from Rockford Bay. Spirit of Tara, a gap in the race, Light of Prosperity. Well back in the race then Shadow Park from Tara's Hall. Silent Action and Ken Grundy back near the tail.
Out by Binding, number 5, Barely a Moment, and Almaher, 5, 1 and 2.
He jumped well, but he just couldn't muster speed and get up into the bridle, and I was happy to ride him quiet like I did, but not travelling like he was. He just never grabbed hold of the bit at all, so started to worry a little bit as we started to turn and come down the hill, but once I got him right out in the middle of the straight and give him a slap with the stick, he knew when to pick up and get on the steel then, so he's nothing short of sensational, mate. Honestly, like, I know probably wasn't a great deal of depth in the field, but the way he won was pretty amazing.
And Binding there at $2.45 in favourite over Barely a Moment. G-Boss in the saddle there, and Almaher battled on well into 3rd place. Geez, exciting, this horse. He gets back and he just rattles home over the top. I thought Glenn's ride on Barely a Moment was a beauty as well, and if the horse had the ability, he probably should have won the race, but this horse could be a superstar. Keith, how did the public react to him in Melbourne?
They couldn't believe it, and neither could his owner. That's Binding on the outside in the might and power colours of Nick Moratis. And Nick Moratis said this morning that he had never seen any horse win a race from the position that Binding was in. He said he reminded him of Burnborough. I don't know whether that's taking things a bit far, but gosh, it was a win-off.
It certainly was.
Suspension there yesterday.
I'm not convinced that horse handles the wet even. You know, look, at his first up run at Canterbury, at least he travelled at the back of the field. He was floating on that wet track yesterday. I'm really keen to see him back on the dry. He's a serious racehorse. In fact, he may stay, looking through his pedigree overnight. He's a half-brother to an Oaks winner, an Arborea. So the pedigree says that he may stay. Lloyd's a Leaping caught my eye. He is a stayer. I'm keen to see him come to Sydney.
This has often been a graveyard, this race.
Yeah, I had like Corey's comment there that it probably mightn't have been a strong form race. I guarantee the first 3 horses out of this race go on and win Group 1 races. El Mahar...
Is it guaranteed?
I'll tell you what, El Mahar never handled the going. Jimmy said he never handled the going. He never showed that acceleration he's normally got.
What about your
And my horse, he never handled it at all either. So his effort was very good. So I'd almost guarantee those first 3 emerge as very, very, very good autumn 3-year-olds.
Well, it's good because it'll be the first time in a while, I think, this race has produced some good horses.
He's a very special winner.
John Hawkes isn't convinced that this horse Binding flashing home here like a stayer. He's not convinced he is a stayer. He said maybe the Doncaster might be a better race for him than the AJC Derby.
I think the plan was always to keep him in work for a week after the Derby, check out, see how he pulled up. Everything was fine. The horse come through the Derby with flying colours. I did a little bit of work on Tuesday with him. Obviously the entries were Monday and he excelled in his work, so I had no hesitation coming here today. He honestly has done...
You can finish off half as good as Binding because you'll be back where that horse was. You'll be back in this... I know it's a smaller field, but you're going to ride normal tactics.
Yeah, to watch Binding come from last to first was very encouraging because, look, I think it's a pretty even surface out there today. They haven't...
OK, the Classic coming up at Sandown. Group 2 level, $400,000 up for grabs, and the $800 horse Count Ricardo is the favourite. What a rags to riches story. At $3.10, Confectioner $4.
Fantastic Love just bounded a little on the outside, probably missed it 3/4. Our Smoking Joe was one of the first out with the bolder Spedanza, and Media Puzzlers up there in the early stages too. Then County Tyrone Confectioner. Over on the inside and a fairly pedestrian pace early was Count Ricardo, and Fantastic Love is now being booted forward by McAvoy. He realised there wasn't much pace on, and at the 2,000 metres it's Fantastic Love taking over the running at the turn. Confectioner's last. Down the side before the turn, Fantastic Love by 2.5 from Spedanza. Media Puzzle niggled at but making ground. Our Smoking Joe on the inside. They're packing now. Count Ricardo within 4 of the leader from County Tyrone, and Confectioner's turned last. It's Fantastic Love into the straight and down the dip by 1.5. Our Smoking Joe into the clear. Media Puzzle and Count Ricardo's about to come with his run down the outside, and further back is Confectioner inside the 400. Fantastic Love had it narrowly. Count Ricardo's looming strongly in the centre. Then Our Smoking Joe. Media Puzzle can't go on, and Confectioner's battling at the 200 metres. Fantastic Love kicks strongly. Count Ricardo out wide's coming at him hard now. 100 left to go. The 3-year-old hit the front. It's Count Ricardo drawing away, and Count Ricardo won the Classic, a length and a half. Fantastic Love. Give it a Media Puzzle third, and nose in front of Confectioner. And then Our Smoking Joe, County Tyrone, and a distant last was Spedanza.
After the Classic, Ruth Cooper's got a horse called Never Sad going around.
On the cake for this campaign for the fairy tale story.
Were you concerned at all during the run?
A little bit at the half mile when he peeled off Media Puzzle's back. I sort of thought it's a long straight, Blake, you know. And then at the 300 he still hadn't moved, and I sort of thought you can do something. But he said I had confidence in me and the horse, and you know, in the end it was a perfect ride. You know, we got the money and that's all that counts.
What does the future hold for Stephen now?
Probably a long night.
Count Ricardo. Purchased for $880 at a tried stock sale when he was unraced. The $3.50 favourite there in a Sandown Classic. Gets the money over Fantastic Love. Another fantastic run. And Media Puzzle. What a game fella he is. Battled on for third place here. Fantastic Love on the fence here. Looks like he's got the race in his keeping. He's fought off Our Smoking Joe, but Count Ricardo with no weight on his back. And a 25-year-old trainer and I think a 17-year-old jockey have combined there to get the lion's share of $400,000. It's a good story, isn't it, boys?
Oh, it certainly is. A bit more interesting. I thought the best run of the race really was Confectioner. He unfortunately got back. And, like, with all due respect, at the 800-metre mark, when Blake came out, there was no way known at the weights Confectioner was going to be able to get home and run past a horse like Count Ricardo. And have a look at Blake's shin there. Like, he sat for as long as he could. I tell you what, he showed the composure of a much, much older person than what he did there.
Best win so far for young Blake Shin. He was the youngest rider in the race. This horse, this winner, Count Ricardo, was the youngest horse, and he's trained by the youngest trainer. Fantastic Love running second there. Took the Godolphin prize money for the spring to $440,000. So profitable ledger for Godolphin. They'll be back at today.
I'm gobsmacked by these kids in Melbourne. You see the way that young man spoke there after the race? He just summed everything up so well. Glenn, I've never met these boys in Melbourne, Shin and Ryan, and even this Benbow on the scene now. Look, are they as good as they sound?
Yeah, they're complete package, these young kids down there. They've got, I don't want to take much away from our kids, but they've just got lengths on our kids at the moment. You know, like riding horses is a big...
He's learned something from Bossy yesterday too, because every time a good horse won a race, Bossy was over talking to connections. Notably, Count Ricardo's connections won a race. Bossy was over talking to connections. Notably, Count Ricardo's connections. What was that about?
Oh, mate, that's my business. I mean, it's part of the business. You know, when it's marketing. When Count Ricardo walked straight to Stephen, I said, "I'm going to ride your horse in the AJC Derby," and I had a good chat to him. And hopefully...
So you were rapping the kid while you had your hand in his pocket?
No. But don't worry, he'll be doing the same soon.
Yeah, that's right. Well, he'll learn.
Yeah.
What goes around comes around.
But you know, I walked up to Stephen, congratulating him, and we had a good chat, and hopefully I've secured the ride for the autumn. But that's what it's all about.
Yeah, but
bad luck
2
for the
minutes
kid,
earlier, I had to ask which one's Stephen Theodore.
I did.
Your new best mate.
Yeah, I know. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
So there's another lesson those kids will have to learn, isn't it? So while you're rapping them, you go around and talk to their owners.
It's just not about riding the horse. That's only probably about 40% of it. The rest of it's marketing and doing, getting on these horses.
So, boys, take note.